I think we are live. It says I'll only go live in a few minutes. No, I think we are live. I think we're good to go. Just quickly waiting to see if this is correct. Oh, we got 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏 in here. Oh, we got Benny in it. Oh, we got 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 in it. Oh, we got everybody. Oh, we are live. So, what an interesting night it has been. All right? Now, one thing I want y'all to know real quick. Real quick. Regardless of what happens with the price, I'll be here every single day. Just like I've been here for the past 8.5 years. A lot of people, they quit in the bear market. A lot of people, they don't show up no more when the price is down. They take their hands off. No, right? You've seen me open millions of dollars worth of trades, and if I close them, I'll tell you, but I'm showing the conviction by showing you all right here on the screen. Yesterday, I added another good chunk to the position worth of XRP. We added another, I think, $160,000 or so. And you might think, Dusty, why is this number then down? How did that work? You know, what's happening right there? Well, ladies and gents, that's because this number is the dollar amount, the value. If we go back to the earlier price, remember, at about 365, I think this was also about 1.1 million, maybe something like that, maybe 1 million, right? I think now if we go back up, this will be closer to 1.3, maybe even more. We've been buying a good chunk here last night. And you can see it from the buys right here. I messed up a little bit, and the little mess up is that I didn't actually buy any below $3. I want to hit my freaking, I want to hit my desk for that, because that is an off one on my part. And also, if some people got wrecked here in the process, hey, you live, you learn. And what I mean with that is, I really thought that honestly, in my own opinion, it was basically everybody who was below $2.80 was mostly going to be fine. But I'll counter that by saying the reason, like I said before, I sometimes don't go too all in. And the reason I also like these bots, for example, and by the way, guys, I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say here is financial advice. This is just my opinion, my strategies, and I'm never making you any guarantees. The reason I like them so much is because every time it goes down, they all... Oh, I almost released a profit. I kind of feel okay because the positions are not as big as they seem. Because when the market moves down, in theory, it looks really bad, right? You can see it looks bad. It was down 18%. Whoa. But then the moment it comes back up, it's cashing out a ton. Whereas with this position, I have to do everything manually, right? I have to buy and click buy. But like I said, my lowest price that I bought at was about $3.05, something like that. And a little bit of the problem is I could have bought significantly more as well. But the thing is, you always want to keep yourself sane. Now, in the short term, we're seeing a couple of interesting things happening. We're seeing a little bit of a potentially inverse head and shoulder pattern. Right? What if this is the move already, huh? From normal head and shoulder to inverse head and shoulder. Ooh. Anyway, how y'all doing? How's everybody doing? Who's holding? Who's sold? How's everybody? How's the feelings in the chat today? Let's see. We got Mr. Crypto in there. What's up? You need to get verified, bro. 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗏 being the first one in today. That's amazing. Let's see what we got. Michael says, "What up, Dusty?" The Don says, "You are live." Nikki says, "Live." Jeffro says, "Live." Oh, you guys are nice. XRP OG says, "Colorado checking in." Dill Wizard says, "I grabbed a juicy 305 entry this morning." Oh. And this is also the thing, right? If your leverage is not too high, essentially, even 305, which is our major level to enter, right? This is what we discussed yesterday. That was the level where we wanted to enter. It was actually still a pretty good round upwards from there. Oh wait, I'm drawing. Quickly get to that. So from our 305 entry, it's actually still been a pretty juicy 5 to 6% up right now. With 10x leverage, for example, right? If it was not full margin, so you had a little bit left, for example, but with 10x leverage, that could still be up 56, let's say, maybe slightly lower. Let's just say 56% or so from our blue line, which basically was our main area of buying. Now, again, as you can see, I've been buying a bit higher, a bit lower, but in general, that was basically the line. Akopo says, "Almost got first, but got ad." You got stopped by an ad, brother? You see, this is the funny thing. You need to get after what you want. Never let a freaking ad stop you. You didn't get first because of an ad? That's on you. All right, you missed out, and I'm not happy with this. Dana says, as soon as I got the notification, I came running. Well, I think a lot of people also came running away from the stream just yesterday because the price wasn't doing too good. But I was here streaming. All right. Now, funnily enough, oh, rip Hulk Hogan. Yep. R.I.P. Somebody here, cryptocurrency news guy, says, hi Dusty, XRP is long gone, my friend. And I think 𝗵𝗲 also thinks the same. How many of you guys think that this is where XRP goes down? 𝗵𝗲 says, Dusty, you should have sold the top of XRP. So much FUD right now. Brother, I've been holding XRP also at 10 cents. You don't think when the lawsuit kicked in, things were bad? And now, in hindsight, indeed, you could have argued that it would be nice to sell and try to buy back. But ultimately, I think we're okay now because we're higher than what we were back then. So it's fine. It's all good in the process as long as we just keep the buying up. And I keep saying, right, it's essentially all coming down to taking a chance. I have all these people telling me all these stories of which coins I should be going for, which coins I shouldn't be going for. But the thing is, nobody knows any better. I can name 1,000 arguments why XRP is the chosen one. But I could also, funnily enough, name 900 arguments why Bitcoin is better. And you might look at this and say, Dusty, you think Bitcoin is better? Essentially, the coin itself, you can name 1,000 reasons why it's good, 1,000 reasons why it's bad. Nobody really knows for sure which is going to be the one, which is why I like to diversify. And some, in my opinion, have a better market positioning than others and a couple of key edges, a couple of key points that make it better in a specific part of the run. Now, 𝗵𝗲 says XRP is not the chosen one. It's a shit coin just like everything else. On my channel, you'll never hear me claim it's the chosen one. Why? I sometimes see videos on TikTok or whatever that people say, XRP will be this and that. I don't like to be over the top with these things. If you think so, that's all good. But I don't like to say it in videos or be overly dramatic because I think it draws you in too much. Should you have conviction? Should you believe in your coins? Yes. But I believe you should believe in them from the perspective of massive gains over the next couple of years and being quite early. Not necessarily that it's going to be the thing running the world, even for Bitcoin. A lot of people that are really, really bullish on Bitcoin and only Bitcoin basically, even them understand that there will be a lot of limitations for a long time, right? Or that it's not going to overtake everything, or at least not in the next foreseeable future, the next 5-10 years. Can it get really, really far? Sure. And for me, I take it step by step, right? Now, you might argue that, no, but I don't care about dollars. I only care about XRP. I only care about dollar, whatever. And that's like 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 says, everything to zero against XRP. So you're only thinking about in the currency. That's also cool. But I'm always a bit more on the side saying, you know what? I care more about me being early, more about having a good entry, more about it being good in dollars now. And where it's going to be in 20 years, we shall see. If it's all of a sudden at the top of the freaking game, nothing else mattered except for XRP or except for Bitcoin, all good. But me going in with a bang like that, I think it's a bit overly. Why? Because it's also really, really hard to sell if you think of it that way. And let me explain that. Let's say you think strongly that this is going to be it. Nothing else matters. Then all you should care about is getting more coins. Never what the value is in dollars, because the dollar value does not matter. It's about each and every coin. But my counter would be that if it takes like 20 years, for example, to get to that standard, you'll be a really rich man in the process potentially. But I guess to you, it's always going to get better. Maybe you're not going to enjoy any single piece of it. And I always say, in my opinion, right? This is my thoughts. You need to get to whatever level of wealth you want as soon as freaking possible. Anyway, so the XRP coin margin bot still doing completely fine, even though it's down a little bit. Some of the bots were down pretty hard yesterday. I think IOTA was down a pretty good penny, but it was able to recover. It took a little bit of time, but I think it was pretty okay. Let's see here real quick. Which one was the worst one? Hyperliquid still down 30% actually, so still Hyperliquid not in the best of positions. But the thing is, Hyperliquid is one of those plays where I don't really mind stocking up a lot more, just because they're one of the most famous perp dexes right now. And even though their coin is priced slightly too high, even for my own personal good, I don't mind. I don't mind stacking up on this for a little bit of a longer term. Even though I still think $43, which is out right now, and we're down 30%, is still a tad bit high. S says, I lost everything, mate. Yeah, some people do. Some people do. Wes says, greedy fees piss me off. Was it 58 of my hard-earned money just to buy $2,000 worth? I have no idea where you are buying. If 2,000 cost you 58, that is crazy. That is absolutely disgusting. Pump is melting. Yeah, did you guys see? Oh, he got hacked, he says. Oh, that's not good. I really wonder how you guys do that. What type of actions are you taking to get your accounts taken from you? Like, what are you doing? Is it when you're completely in your groove, you're clicking all those ads? Is it that? Are you clicking the ads, and then when you click the ad, you connect your crypto account to it? Are you paying for enlargement pills when you're watching a video? You're paying for that with your crypto account, and you have to log in exactly there to buy your freaking pill. What are you doing? How do you do that? Like, you might think, Dusty, did you catch a mosquito just now? No. You know what I did catch though? Well, you shall never know. It's what they call a hair. And with my hair, this happens quite often. And it's of course me going absolutely nuts, but it's also very often just me finding these freaking, yeah, for me, I can't see it, but maybe you can. Anyway. So, yeah, no, I still wonder. And Chum says, cold wallet, dude. No, even on an exchange, think about it. Your cold wallet getting cracked, how do you do that? Your exchange getting cracked, how do you do that? How do people get hacked? The only thing which I understand is if you're using Phantom, or a trading bot on Telegram, something like that, and you connect it to the wrong thing. You give something access to it. But if you have it on a crypto exchange, I don't know. What happened to GSX? I think it's dead. And this is also another funny thing people like to do. Often, people come back with old coins. Like, I used to be excited about this. Brother, you know how much money I've lost in so many different things? But it's okay, because it's all calculation. Sometimes you think something's going to do really well. One season, AI coins. You know how many of them? Which one is the one I remember? This was so amazing. Let me go find it. I don't know how much MetaMask is in. But there was one coin. It was good. It was good. We did a 15x or something like that. And I'm still holding it right now. And it's down to like minus 95%. But remember with Nosana, where I'm going to actually find this coin. Which one is it now? There's one coin. Let me see if I can find it. That was actually quite interesting. It used to be one of the most hyped up AI things. Let me go find it out. If I can. Layer AI. This bag of mine used to be like 38,000 or so from like what, 3K, I think. So it was really, really good. It's now worth $200. So that just proves a low point. Why did I not sell? Yeah, that's a good question. It's down 99%. Amazing. Amazing. So no, I think, if you don't, and this is my own personal opinion, if you don't lose crazy amounts of money on different cryptos, you're not trying hard enough. And so, yeah. Same for Pepe, the amount of money I actually also lost. And people sometimes come back and say, you did not lose it if it's gains, right? Because if you started with zero, you didn't lose anything. I think about it differently all the time. I think about it from the perspective of, if you got into a coin, and it's always liquid. It's not a freaking meme coin where you have to watch out for liquidity and it's like, well, you can't cash everything out. It's liquid. You can right now sell everything. If there's no tax implication, which there isn't for me, that's not what you've got. So if the value goes down, I just think of you losing money. Some people disagree with that though. Layer AI, yeah. Let's see. Glad says, I don't get involved in memes. That's a good way to lose 90% of your portfolio. You know what? I don't know. I feel as if even top tier memes are actually quite fine. And to counter that, I would say even if you go for small memes, the only problem is you got to be freaking in it. Frank says, anybody have trouble hearing? I don't know, brother. I mean, we wrecked some stereos a few days ago by accident. Let's do it again. Let's pump up the sound here. Let's try to wreck some things again. You know, I'm gonna put the volume up. I'm gonna put the volume up real high. Just watch. No, I won't do that again. I'll learn from that. John says, I bought based on your enthusiasm for GSX. How much XRP did you buy in the same process? Someone said that about a live and I stayed away. Layer AI. Yeah, we got screwed on that. Martin says 80% on a cold wallet. Again, like I said, I understand people who put everything to a cold wallet. It's gotta be important. It is important to have it in a cold wallet if you're not doing anything with it anyway. But me personally, no, I'm not gonna put the volume. I'm just joking. I learned from that mistake. But me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of cold wallets. Not like in essence, a cold wallet is a good thing, but to keep everything on there, I think it's not that, there's not that much utility on there unless you really know how to do it properly. Again, I think most exchanges are quite okay. I wouldn't keep everything on an exchange, and I personally use cold wallets, but you still got to have some room to do things with your funds, if you get my drift. So if you've got everything, then all you got to do is just wait it out, right? ST says, so 366 new resistance. We've got a few ones that are interesting, that are closer to us. So, for example, one of the more interesting levels is about back to 340s, something like that. And actually, funnily enough, I think in the middle, there's really not that much, right? I see one interesting point here. Okay, we could argue that right now we are back towards resistance, about 227, something like that. Right, that's what we hit just a bit earlier today. Or, 2 days ago. No, earlier today. This is the 1 hourly. So we topped that before, on our way towards the top. Then again, let's see. No, it's where we topped up before, on our way towards the top. Didn't actually ever come back. So it's not, you wouldn't necessarily argue this is too strong. We could potentially maybe more so look at I'm thinking this is actually the stronger level. So our first base before moving on, and actually we bounced off it once, rejected twice, bounced off it once, bounced off it twice, and now it acted as a new support, but got broken, resisted, and right now we're trying that again. I'm going to say this is a stronger level to watch out for. John says, the like to viewer ratio is pretty bad today, guys. Everybody, if you watch this right now, we have about 400 people watching. If you have not pressed that like button, I don't know what exactly that's supposed to mean. Every single person, if you're watching this, all it does if you press that button is hopefully let the stream be shown to more people. Maybe it doesn't even do that. Then all it does is show some appreciation. And it's just, think about it like this. How do you get a couple, sometimes if you give a little bit of money to a homeless guy in the street, you're like, I've done a good deed today. Because essentially, right, that person's life, you're not going to see that much, unless he's like the local homeless guy. But otherwise, you're not going to see that much back of it, right? But you did a good thing. You helped a person out, and it didn't really cost you too much. Unless you are also homeless, in which case, I guess it's helping your brother out like that, But in this case here, think about it. You're doing a good deed because it might help the algorithm. And it doesn't cost you anything. I'm not asking you for money. Never. I will never ask you for money. I'll never ask you for anything in that sense. Except for likes. So, this is what I'm craving right now. This is what I can go crazy over. 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗆 says, can existing Pionex users still use the bots? When I try to copy them, it sends me to a Chinese website. Brother, I don't exactly know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, if you're an existing user, yeah. But if you're not, under me, I don't know if you can use my bots. Stu found me out. He says he's only in it for the likes. Can we ban this Stu guy? He knows a bit too much. Let's see. How did you get hacked? I was busy to transfer it to a startup platform for other cryptos and could lock it there. It's already been a while, but I still feel it. I was busy to You did not, if this is truth, you did not get hacked. You just sent your money to a scam. If what you're saying right here is what happened. Wait, what is this story? Sorry, why I'm so invested into this story is because I sometimes really wonder how people get wrecked. But I think the story goes a bit further. He says, I got schmecked, okay? How'd it happen? The help desk got mirrored, so I was talking to scammers instead of help desk. Hidden via a hot wallet, MetaMask, and all of a sudden there's nothing on there. I went to go contact the help desk, and they sent me a link, and I had to log in that way. Help desk? Help desk for... You know, when you say these first words, like this looks like, again, what I was joking about before. Hidden desires. Looks like you were visiting the wrong website, huh? You naughty. Now, let me see. So the reason I'm trying to figure it out is I have no idea how people get schmacked. I don't know what they do to get schmacked. I do not understand most of it. What do you think about XCN? XCN seems to be really pumping quite often, huh? Like funny, some of those coins that do really, really well every single time the market starts heating up a bit. XCN and Jasmy. Those are now two of my favorite coins in that aspect. There's just every single time the market pumps a little bit upwards, people start going crazy on those two. And I still don't exactly know what they do. Neither Jasmy nor the other one, Onyx. I just know every single time the market goes a bit green, people get super, super excited for it. 𝗓𝗓 actually didn't fall back as much as the other ones, huh? This is the weekly chart for 𝗓𝗓. Wait, what? 𝗓𝗓, I mean, theoretically speaking, it had a little bit of a breakout, but for the most part, 𝗓𝗓's been pretty garbage. I thought 𝗓𝗓 was doing amazing. But it's actually not really had even the craziest of breakouts. It's just been a pretty good rally from 50 to 90 cents, or almost $1, so about a doubling in just a few weeks. But still, in comparison to where it was at before, 𝗓𝗓 was actually still down tremendously. I didn't even notice that. Because when I looked at the bots, it looked like 𝗓𝗓 was destroying it. But that's because we got a pretty good entry. Oh. We hope for XLM to break out towards the top, but it chose the other side, unfortunately. XLM broke down, retested, broke down further, and right now attempt number 2. All right, we got ourselves attempt number 2. What else we got? Altcoins. Yeah, they had an interesting week as well. It's funny to me how people say, yeah, but this is all played out. All these alts will go to zero. And I'm thinking, man, we didn't even cross what we saw earlier in the year, like the December 2024 levels. We've done okay, but we've really not done that amazing. And you want to know another funny thing? You know the amount of people who right now have quit crypto again? And I can easily see it from just the amount of people that join the stream. Now you might say, no, it's weekend numbers, weekend and weekdays are different. No, it all changes depending on what the price is doing. If the price is going up really, really hard, so many people out there looking, seeing, and dibba-dabba doing. Right now, it seems that like nobody cares. They do, but they don't want to really be involved. And that's the funny thing. I'm telling you right now, most people only get in when the market is up and hot. Most people don't get in when the market's cold. They wait for the opportunity. Everything is up and up and up, and that's when they enter. It's funny, but it's true. Z says, is 𝗓𝗓 still juicy right now? Well, in theory, most coins are still juicy because they're still down tremendously from their all-time high. Oh, hidden is your name. He logged in and see nothing, and there was a... Okay, so what happened to this guy, right, as far as I understand here? He was trying to use a launch pad. Okay, two options, right? because the story is a bit of a piecing together here with me looking half-assedly. So 2 options. One is he was trying to get some juicy tokens on a launchpad, some new IDO token, and in the process he got schmacked by the platform that he was trying to buy from. Or second is he looked at the platform, connected his wallet, trying to get some coins in, and then in the process he realized, hey, it looks like my account is 0. He tried to contact a help desk, which was not a real help desk because that, I don't know. I mean, theoretically speaking, there is a help desk, but if something's wrong with your MetaMask, all I tell you is just go find a freaking crypto expert that's like right next to you. If you're going to ask on the internet, you're going to lose your money 99 out of 100 times. And that's also how the internet works. If you think a help desk for all these decentralized things is easy, you'd be mistaken. Ledger, if you're doing things wrong and you're like, oh, let me text them to help me out, there's a possibility you're talking to the real ones, but if you're not careful, you're going to talk to the wrong ones and they're going to steal your freaking schmeckles. But I always think these are some of the things you should really you have to learn. If you can't figure it out just by thinking about it, you have to learn it the hard way. And some people, unfortunately, they keep learning for a long time. Because I've seen some people get schmacked multiple times in a row. Now, the ones I do accept, if you download an app from the App Store, for example, and unfortunately it was a wrong one, because that happened to a friend of mine, it's the ad, right? So in App Store, you have ads on top, and one ad actually on top, which rotates, and then normal apps below that. He downloaded a Phantom from the ad, and that was a bad one. Unfortunately, he got wrecked with that. I can understand that, because that's not really on you. I would never download an ad on App Store. I would never download from an ad anywhere. If you go on Google, never click the ad. If you do that, never click ads. But some people are oblivious to that. They don't look even at ad. What? Oh, shit, I'm stuck. I think a lot of people just think you can click anything on the internet and it's fine. Well, essentially that's quite right. All these 0-day exploits, whatever people are talking about, the probability of that happening to you of just clicking a freaking Google ad is quite small, right? Or just using Chrome is quite small. But it mostly comes when you're logging in on the wrong place. 95% of the time, that's what people do. And that's why I said that I don't really call that, it's a phishing thing. But most people, they mess themselves up that way. It's hard for you to get schmacked unless you make a very severe mistake. And again, where I say you make a mistake, where it's different is, what I'm always afraid of is you do nothing and they still get into your account. That is scary. What is less scary is if you mess up, you do something wrong, and that makes you lose it. Again, it's sad, it's bad for you. I feel bad for you because you messed up, but that's essentially a little bit easier to cope with because you made a mistake. You did the wrong thing. It's, in my opinion, infinitely times better than you're just sitting there minding your own business and all of a sudden all your accounts are empty and you could never figure it out, right? And you didn't do anything. They found their way into your software on your computer and you didn't have anything wrong. Essentially, downloading the wrong software is also your mistake, but it's different than you actually logging in the wrong spot. Which again, still bad. Well, I'm not trying to say, oh no, you dumbasses. No. It can happen to the experts. So it's not as if you're stupid. It's not as if this is a unique thing. Happens to so many people, but a lot of people don't like to admit it. But even some of my good friends, they've gotten schmacked before. It happens. I just told you. And one of the most common ones is that you connect your wallet to the wrong website, right? But then again, just connecting it, I still have never heard anybody getting completely wrecked by just connecting. It's mostly if they give permission for moving or swapping their tokens, something like that, right? It's not actually the connection itself that mostly gets people wrecked. Maybe it does, but I've never really heard of that before. Let's see. It was even crazy. Wait, let's see. A second. He says it was even crazier because their help desk was via Telegram, and I was already in contact with the owner. When it happened, the schmackers contacted me via the account of the owner of the launchpad. Yeah. Sorry, brother. What game we talking about? Pango is only up because of NFTs. Now people are dumping it. Pango will see a 50% downfall. Check the chart out. I'm actually telling you before, 𝗵𝗁𝗄 is an interesting one. There is potential for 𝗵𝗁𝗄 to literally be number 1 or 2 because it's in the real world. They have the real plungies and stuff, and it's a young founder with ambitions and significant sums of money. You know, the reason I'm saying that is because if you look at some of the bigger companies that are in the top of the top, you know, theoretically speaking, Doge has a big culture and big everything. But there is no real marketing team. There's no real department of putting the money back in. There's a Doge, like, sort of foundation, but it's mostly people coming together. Whereas, theoretically speaking, with 𝗵𝗁𝗄, if they do it like a real company, which they are, right? They have the freaking plushes in Walmart, they have a little bit of the potential to really become that retail coin. Especially if they do their marketing right. They could literally be everywhere. I'm not holding it for that reason. Matter of fact, I'm not holding much 𝗵𝗁𝗄 at all. Because it's not like I really believe this, in the sense that I'm really here thinking, oh, this is it. I'm just saying there's actually potential in that, which a lot of people see. Let's see. Also, okay, so I have to also say one more thing. If you're right now watching this stream, just know you are still the top 5% of smartest crypto people out there. And I have to really tell you this, that you're probably top 5%. First of all, if I look at a TikTok comment section, oh boy, do I get depressed. Because some people, no, and I wanted to say this is not meant to be rude. It is meant to be rude. Some people are freaking dumber than a bowl of oatmeal. I don't know how to describe it. I really sometimes struggle with the idea that the simplest of concepts cannot be understood by some. And I mean, if you always look at average intelligence and you think, okay, a lot of people are below that, I don't mind that. Because the average Joe can think of a simple calculation. All right, I always assume the average Joe can do 80 times 5 or something like that, right? I think so. But then I sometimes look at the comment section. People are like, well, actually. And to me, it doesn't matter, right? You have interesting people. But whenever I'm in this chat, nobody's, okay, there's maybe one every few days. But generally speaking, nobody has that stupid of a take. Everybody's freaking on point and actually learn a lot of things being here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Oh, that's interesting. Oh. But then I go to TikTok. I go to the comment section, see what the people are saying. And I'm afraid of this world. I do not know what is happening over there. Interesting observation, guys. Good to know. Thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate those insights. I'm gonna grab one. Okay, so let me tell you something. Select the puzzle. Oh, this is awful. Why do I have to do a puzzle? All right, here we go. Can I watch this video? Let's see. Maybe I can do it. Do you have to log into freaking TikTok to watch a video? Always? Give me a sec. Maybe I can do this. I was gonna download it, but that doesn't work because obviously I need to see the comment section there. Let's do it like this. All right, baby. All right, we're gonna show you something really quite peculiar. I just had to show you this, all right?
How much would my 80...
Okay. So, again, please understand. that this was interesting to me. So this is me, all right? Now you might think, what's wrong with you? This is a joke, and every single person can get it's a joke, as you'll see in just a second. It's not like is that a joke or is that not a joke? No, if you don't see this as a joke, you're part of the problem. But anybody can see that. Let's.
Would my 80x of PP worth if it hit 5? How much would my 80x of PP worth if it hit?
This is a question, by the way. I'm responding to a question I got.
$5,000 per XRP. Well, I just did the math over on Google, and apparently it's about 300 million. Because again, if you do 5,000 times 8, that's about 40,000. And of course, times 10 apparently brings us to this number. So yeah, follow for more math tips.
But then I look, and that's where things get a little bit scary. People just don't understand the market cap. Well, Kev here, explain it to me, rocket science. Depends. This is the one I see the most. Depends on what price it was bought. I don't know why people like to say this all the time. Why times 10? This one I liked. This is our new millennials. This is matching 400,000. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. XP crashed. Wrong. Thank you. Of course, wrong. Okay, that one is a medium. Anyway, but this is just one. This is not the one. I'm too lazy to scroll through. But it was interesting for me. Where did you learn your math? Where did you learn your math? Is this a bot or something? Why do people have the same comment every time? Interesting. Wrong. 400K, genius. Anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe they looked at me and they were like, this guy probably can't do 5,000 times 80. So we got to educate this fool. We got to help him out. Let him know how much it really should be. Anyway, that was just one example. But there's multiple. All right. If I look at the comment section of some things, it is really freaking funny. And when you realize that, then it makes you appreciate just so much more the position that we are in. Because, ooh, wait a minute. Ooh. Oh my God. This is the 1 minute chart. This means nothing. But we're having fun. Dun, 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 dun. BTC dominance breaking. On the short term, perhaps, yeah. On the longer term, I don't like to look at BTC dom on a really short term angle. Oh, I'm stuck, I see. I don't like to look at BTC dom on a really short term. Troy says, buy high, sell low. I remind you of my video I made yesterday, which is essentially, I think, the best way in crypto. And some might call this stupid, but it's buy high and sell higher. If you're trying to always buy low and sell high, it's tough, dog. Unless you mean a local low, like for example here, $3.05 and sell higher. That's fine. But theoretically speaking, 305 or 296, whatever, is still essentially quite high, as it was below 50 cents most of the time, right? So I could argue that that's still high, buying high, and then selling even higher, right? But even buying at 330, essentially is quite low in comparison to where it was before, and relatively it's all still high. So it just depends on how you see it. But I think in bull markets, the best way to go about it is just go with the trend. You long the freaking dips, which is what I typed yesterday, and the counter sometimes can be sometimes on the short term, you're a little bit wrong. But over longer terms, I don't think you can be wrong. But I guess possible, theoretically. But it's harder to be. Anyway, how are the bots doing, you might ask? Somebody says, can you look at 𝗕𝗂𝗧? It's not doing good today. Man, what do you mean it's not doing good today? Is it down tremendously? Like, did something bad happen, or? What's going on? It's down. It's down. Did you really take your time to write, take a look at 𝗕𝗂𝗧? It's not looking good. It literally didn't do anything today. It is down 0.7% on the day, and it's up 0.7% on the hour. You couldn't have picked an even more boring one. It's almost it's hard. The only one more boring is 𝗕𝗂𝗪. I know you love 𝗕𝗂𝗪. I mean, but hey, XRP is the most trending coin right now. Why is that? I guess because the price came down. You know the amount of TikToks I saw people say, I was exit liquidity, you know? And I always look back at it thinking, damn, really, you think that? You think just a 10 or 15% or 20% dump even, is that bad? Dumb. Shine says, can't wait for 𝗫𝗠𝗏 to get bots sorted, as cannot get on the one you trade on. Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's see when 𝗫𝗠𝗏 gets that done. Johnson, I'm having to explain what a ticker is to my friend who knows nothing about crypto. It's kindergarten stuff. Is what if I told him he couldn't grasp that. Yeah. Two B's. Text me now. Too big pick pause. Text me now. We still have yet to do that. Too big? Text me now on Twitter. Let's do that. I see also JB now. I found you, by the way. 𝗕𝗂𝗪 crying today? It's not that bad. Shanna says, I can't even get Payonix even with VPN. That, I don't know. I've never heard that before. I don't know what you've done then to not be able to do it. Because the VPN should work. I do it all the time, so I don't know. Trump is visiting the Federal Reserve today as well. Yeah, I saw. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, how the bots doing today? Let's take a little bit of a look. So, in general, a bit of a down day. A lot of coins are down pretty much, right? But they've actually recovered quite nicely from the levels that they were at yesterday. For example, when I took a look at it at like midnight, yeah, this is not looking too good. Doge was down 33%, right now only 19%. And in the process, it's able to cash out these grids, right? And that's essentially why we open them, regardless of price, adjust later on if we need to. And Solana was also at a loss before, a little bit only though, like 4%. But right now it's back up. ETH is still down, even though it's been able to cash out. And you got to understand, this is, for example, 3 days. And they've all been able to cash out 3%, 3%, well, Ethereum 1%, Bitcoin 0.7%, right? But we already knew that type of principle. But so you got to understand how amazing, how crazy that is. Annualized, that's like a 360% gain. Let's see. Not sure if you've covered this. I have in every single one of my bot tutorials, and I have like 35 of them. But anyway, not sure if you've covered this, but how much margin as a percentage do you use? Well, this is almost impossible to answer because it depends exactly on the amount of leverage and exactly on which pair you go for. Because you have to understand, I don't necessarily set up any bot with margin. Why is that? Because it kind of takes away from the amount of leverage you're using. Because otherwise you could have probably gone for even higher leverage. I just add margin when times are tough. So for example, this has no margin, no margin, no margin. And it's not necessary really even, right? But then if I scroll through, for example, Link, as an example, let's see. if it was down tremendously earlier, or I look at this price and think, $18, and my liquidation, for example, was 14.5, maybe I'd like to lower it down, so I add a little bit of extra margin to get it slightly lower, maybe below a key level. Let's say 𝗲𝗂 here, right? Out of all these, 𝗲𝗂 all of a sudden, because I have so many bots. So to use a little bit of money for margin is not that bad for some of the bots that are losers, because the other ones are such heavy winners, it's all fine. 𝗲𝗂 was, for example, losing a little bit. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I opened 327. I want this to be, I don't want to look at this anymore, right? I have to double up my 𝗲𝗂 once the price goes down significantly lower, but that's all fine. I still have 𝗲𝗂 as well, funnily enough. Yeah, I can spot. I can just add a little bit extra margin so I don't have to keep looking at it so much. Because I have so much, if I only had one, I'd probably just add the margin really, really late. But since I do not want to keep looking at it, I make sure these are all at pretty safe levels, so again, I don't have to come back as often. For example here, hype at 31. Is it going to hit 31 overnight? Probably not. Where do I want it to be there though? Preferably yes, so I don't again have to stress out over it when I'm sleeping. Here, the 20k ETH bot, I didn't have any margin at all. Solana here, no margin at all. The 10k 2 million challenge, obviously I have some margin there. Why? Because, well, we started with 10k. It's right now 40. And the reason I said before that the 10k 2 million challenge is essentially quite difficult to grasp for a lot of people is because you need to have, and that's why I didn't do a million to 10 million challenge, for example, or a million to 100 million. Because the more you up, the more you're going to also have to need for margin. Like right now, you can see we are just 10.5k down, which is nothing essentially because, well, we started with 10. So we're a whole beginning number down, but we're still up tremendously. But you got to understand that if the market moves up this much and you're doing it, it's essentially easier for people if the market is going sideways than if the market is going up. It will take longer, but if the market goes up exponentially, every single time I'm reinvesting, I'm also buying at a higher price. So the starting price is not relevant anymore. I have to look at my break-even price. And essentially, if the market then moves down hard and your grid profits were not good enough to cope for that, again, the unrealized P&L will be significant. Now, if the market moves back to neutral, okay, it evens itself out, everything, 𝗖𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗍. In the meantime, it can be a bit annoying. That's why I add a lot, just so I don't have to watch too much for it. XLM doing still pretty fine. Don't have to add anything because it's so much in the profit. And the nice thing is, the more it's able to cash it in grid profits, if you don't reinvest those or cash them out, the easier it's going to be to just let it go forever and where it will not have a liquidation price after a long time. Because then the grids will overtake the original at some point. Again, one of my friends, for example, has kept these open for like the past year. And the funny thing is, if we take a look at XRP, right, you can see I opened 50K, right, times 5, so 250K bot 80 days ago. It has cashed out about 20, let's say almost 20,000. If we keep this up, maybe another 80 days, let's just say it's able to cash out 50. From then on, it's free riding. Whatever it does, it just keeps going. It's you know, I basically already got my entire worth out. Now, essentially, you could argue that you have to cash out the full amount of the whole bot, but that's again if you get to a really, really negative spot where everything just keeps going wreckage town. And I'm not against, by the way, just cashing out the grids and taking this and going doing stuff with it. The reason I keep them going here is partially so the total profit is a bit nicer to look at. So it just feels like you're less of a loss, and just to keep it in so you can cash it out in case the market does go against you. But if you want to take it out all the time, I understand as well. For me, it's also just because it's kind of easier to show people how they've been doing. And the only one where I'm really taking action is the 10K to a mil challenge. But yeah. Salvador says, what's good, Dusty? What's up, man? What's up? What's up? What's up? How you guys doing? You know what's also funny? Whenever the XP price goes up slightly, I just see people move into the chat like crazy. And then when the market moves down a little bit, no more. By the way, guys, if you're not there yet, make sure you go ahead and press the like button on the stream. It's also strange to me that before, whenever I used to stream for an hour, I was like, what did we do? We streamed for a whole hour. I wanted to only stream for 20. And now it's like, oh, whoa, I'm not even an hour in. What? I just started streaming. Whoa. And yesterday, I felt so strange only streaming for about an hour and a half. It's strange to me now. Because I remember, who was here that day when we were here for like 9.5 hours? Who was here? And fun fact, it was 14 hours worth of streaming in a 24-hour period. Because I streamed 5 or 4.5 hours the night before. How many of y'all were here when I was doing that though? Oh, and I guess I should doing this when we were doing that. Because a lot of y'all were here, otherwise it would be impossible. 𝗬𝗓𝗪 was here. Everybody was here. David says I was here for a portion of that day. Hey, if you just showed up even for a second, I count it. Bus said it felt like a 30-minute drive. Honestly, it was the craziest day I have ever had in my entire life. By far. Not in terms of like, for example, party hardy or all that stuff. I mean, just like price action, crypto-wise. I have never seen that before. It was so crazy. And that's sometimes sad when you look back thinking, damn, I missed that already. Like now, I'm craving that again. But I believe if the market progresses, the energy will get better. But then again, the counter is that was such an unexpected surge for XRP that I don't know if we can mimic that feeling. The only thing I think could happen is if XRP, for example, just now, bam, goes and starts this rampage again, goes to like $3.40, and we don't stop there. Because going now from 324 to 340 is nice, but people are still scarred. The real dopamine hits when you go to levels where nobody could really be at a negative position anymore, and it happens quickly. If it happens over time, like we saw when the retest happened like 2 days ago, not that many people were really excited about XRP retesting 365 or 366. But the fact that it's happening and you know, watching the whole entire run up and it keeps going and keeps going. You know, that gets people, it gets you freaking bonkers, you know? Gets you freaking excited. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, huh? Let's see if we got another rotten apple today. Another question, do y'all wash your apples? Or do you just do like a little... What do you do with your apples? Gallon says, I don't eat apples. Rip it in half? I mean, no, you need to wash them. Man, you have some troubles, dog. Snort my apples. I mean, quick rinse, dog. You gotta make. I just eat the pesticide. I don't give a crap. I'm not washing no apple. I'll just accept it. Waxes on apples, but that's like some crazy American apples. A little bit of pesticide is okay. Some little I was gonna say some of the most racist I've ever done. Hey, let me not say that. By the way, I am not racist, as you might have known from my streams for a while. But I was gonna say something heinous, but I should shut up maybe. Sometimes I gotta realize some people don't know I'm kidding. So, yeah, maybe I, should watch out with that sometimes. Ooh, I was gonna say something so funny. Oh. Pesticide is not okay, not so much for the bird poop. Bro, you know what? Think about it. It's just some people's fingers. It's fine. A little bit of pesticide. It's everywhere anyway. Matter of fact, if I right now wash it with this freaking South American water, I might actually end up even worse. You know what? I'm gonna wash it out. Screw you. I'll wash it with bottled mineral water, all right? We're going that way. Bottled mineral water, that's just gonna happen right now. Thank you. All right. Hope you guys are happy with them apples. I don't know how I capitulate it. People joining now are thinking, what? I just realized all those no, I don't even want to say it anymore. You know, I'm also going to put this apple face down on the desk here. And this desk has some interesting things on it. See, that's resistance. That's what you're building up. Think about this. Right? You used to put the freaking apple on the floor and eat it. Now we're like, wash the apple because somebody may have touched it with their hands. And the same thing goes for if people look at restaurants like, oh, how could he touch that with his hands? Man, you know, essentially it does. Hey, if I see a freaking chef and he's like, it's like a little bit odd, right? I'm like, I don't want that, maybe no more. But really, in the reality of things, if that guy touched it, he touched it with his hand, oh, I can't eat it no more. It's kind of, you know, I'm like, it's just a hair. Same for a hair, by the way. I have no problem, reality, with a hair being in there. It's like a little bit like, But in reality, I don't give a crap about a hair. Oh, but it's unsanitary, bro. It depends on what they're doing. But I don't know what they're doing based on the hair. Maybe there's a freaking grilly mother freaking in the background. You know, he has tons of hair. That can fall in. Can happen. And the same thing for the apple. If 1,000 people touch this apple, I don't give a crap. I'll still eat it. I might get sick, but that's what it is. And I was not meant to be. Somebody says makes me gag with hair. I don't know, man. I don't have that. I don't give a crap. I literally do not care. I can't even care 1% about the hair. Dusty, think about it. Diddy could have touched that apple. Wow. That'd be pretty cool. You mean because he's like, because of his skin color that he was like plicking it, you mean? Or do you mean, why is that? Like, Diddy could have touched that. What do you mean with that? What do you mean with that? Touching no apples in his cell. True that. What about small pieces of feces? Dog, if somebody shit on my plate, depends on where it is on the plate if you think about it. If it's like really up to the side and it's not like really, you know, I can still continue eating. But if it's really in the middle, yeah, that's a big problem. But if somebody's shitting right there in front of me in the corner, I can still eat my food. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap. Ryan says, I couldn't care too much about other people touching it. I'd be more worried about the spraying chemicals on it. I agree with that. I agree with the pesticides on the apple, which was my main concern for washing it. I'm thinking, you know what? That is actually a solid point. Red Team says, random question. The last live stream you mentioned that you don't have a need to cash out and that you use crypto to buy and travel, etc. What is the best way to pay for real world stuff with crypto we hold? I just use Bybit card, which in theory has not the highest of limits, but there's a few other cards of that sort you can use. Yeah. I mean, you could cash out if you wanted to, but I don't do that. There's 1,001 different things that Americans use, but for me, it's pretty easy. Bybit doesn't have Ideal. That's a shame. I've not used Ideal, and I cannot remember. Dusty, does Pionex work with VPN? If you're using a VPN, it should be able to work anywhere. I don't understand how you're not able to let it work unless you're putting your country in another country where it doesn't work. You understand what I mean? Like, so what might be happening to some people is they're thinking like, oh, I'm here, I'm using a VPN. Why doesn't it work? Well, because you're using a VPN in your own country. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not going to work without it, it's not going to work with it. Bybit doesn't have tiki. Ideal is very important for the Dutch. Ideal is garbage. Like, in reality, Ideal is so shit because it's just like a bank transfer of sorts. You don't really get any protections at all. Thoughts on Melania? You mean like the Elden Ring boss or the coin? The coin, or the token, pretty garbage in my opinion. Melania is hot? Really? Is that what you like? I mean, could be worse, I guess. I mean, for for dating an 80-year-old, I understand it, but it's not my cup of tea. But for Mr. Teal there, he's got himself a banger. Red teams. I got the Crow card. Yeah, I used to have the Crow card, but Crow is like freaking ass. So, yeah. I don't remember what happened with that card. There was an issue, and they didn't fix it. And then I was like, oh, you know what? Screw you, Crypto.com. go eat poop. That's basically what I thought. Derek says the idea is that she is doing it with, yeah. I mean, Trump is freaking. Nah, let's not even talk about what Trump's doing. You know what? Let's not focus on. Let's not hone in on all that. I don't wanna ruin some people's appetite with all the details. Chris says Payonix knows your previous. If you log in from the wrong place, you just gotta text support, say that was a mistake. I had it before that I accidentally logged in from like the US VPN or something like that. And I had to text their support saying, hey, this was accidental. It's not correct. And if that doesn't work, by the way, just text me. Text me on Twitter. It should be fine. Because I had the same mistake. But maybe you're just not writing it properly. That was actually, from Blowfin's side, from Payonix's side, that's pretty annoying. If you mess up once with the wrong account IP, they give you a big message like, you're in a non-supported country. You have to text support, let them reset it. Because you have two KYCs. You have KYC 1, which is basically just you put a name in a country. I could put a freaking random name in. I put freaking, my name is Mr. whatever. And the country, I don't know which country you should put. Freaking Canada or something like that. UAE, right? And your IP can be from anywhere. How legit is it? I always find that a difficult question. Because when essentially I go for a new platform, all I look is who that I know is all using this. But if you're countering it, you can have Madoff, you can have freaking Sam Bankman-Fried with FTX. You don't essentially know what somebody's doing in the background. You might say, but they're public or this, that. You still don't really fully know most of the time if they're up to no good or if something crazy is going to happen. And so I always base it on how many of my friends are using it, how popular is it, can I meet a lot of the people in there. But again, even with FTX, people sometimes say, it was so obvious, it was not. I know a lot of people that fell for FTX. I never used them, but still, I know a lot of people that fell for it. And I don't think you're a stupid person if you did, at all. I understand it very much so. So to that notion, I say, I know a lot of their people. My friends met up with the CEO. The CEO officially, but there's always different levels. There's like the CEO, there's like the founders, there's like more founders. CEO, met a few times. A lot of people at the company I know. Same for Bybit. I know a lot of employees. I've been to their offices so many times in my life. Same for WeX, been to the office a lot of times. Blowfin, I've never been to their office, but I've been out with them like two different countries and all these things. Blowfin, I know a lot of people as well. Salvador says, Dusty, how do you go about getting your money out if it's not your name? I don't understand. They need a bank account with a name on. So, I don't know. I've never used bank accounts. I literally do not understand. Like, I never use bank accounts for almost anything. So, if you're saying, but how do you cash? I don't know your problem. I literally do not. First of all, because I don't need money in my bank. I mean, I have banks, don't get me wrong. But I don't really need it for anything. And second of all, because I'm going to be doing more trading with it anyway, so I like to keep it in stablecoin, USDT, USDC, whatever. That's for me is cashing out, getting it to USDT. That's like, amazing, I've cashed it out. How many of y'all think we'll be going to above $3.30 again today? Right, so breaking the... I could even say above like 3, but let's just say 330. Yes or no? Who thinks? What do you guys think? Yes or no? Nobody can know. I'm just saying, what do you guys think? What are you guys feeling today? And by the way, if you're not subscribed, we go live every single day. And how did you buy your Lamborghini then? So you can just go to the dealership and say, hey, I'll send you 343,000 USDT right now. Yes or no? And they say, yeah, sure. That's Dubai for you. How do you pay for hotels? You can use a crypto card. You can use 𝗕𝗏𝗧. I think there's different websites that just accept crypto. Emirates nowadays is going to accept crypto as well, right? But you can just use crypto cards. You have a lot of them. Like we just told a few different examples. Mr. says, just send USDT in Dubai. Yeah, you can do that. You can get cash if you want. Or even bank transfer. They can do it for you. But there's a lot of other websites. If you're in Europe also, you have like Swiss. There's so many. You might be thinking, Dusty, are you seeing things again? Have you started... Is this Gary Gensler? Oh, shit. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. We got it back. And no, the weather is changing, very much so. Let me... Oh. Yeah. Weather no bueno. Hearing voices again, brother. No. Sorry, I must have missed. What's a good card to get, please, sir? I use Bybit card. That's my #1 favorite card. Most of my friends use it all the time. I use it every single time. Retty says, Dusty, you need to read your text message again so the price can pump another 3%. Yeah, I should be doing that, right? I should. Whenever I look at my phone. But really, I find it sometimes funny that people believe so much in crypto. They say, right? They're like, yeah, it's going to be #1. This is the funniest thing, matter of fact. Yeah! I see this. XRP is going to take over the financial system. This is going to be the craziest opportunity of a lifetime. Anybody selling here is stupid. So how to deal with taxes when I cash out next month? Or how can I cash out at $7? I want to cash out at $7.50. It's going to overtake the world. But how do I cash out to my bank account though? Like, well, if you really think this is going to take over, what's your need in cashing out? I get it. I do get it. But these are two contrasting thoughts. If, again, everything is going to be based on that currency, no need to get rid of the currency, right? That's why I always say, I think it's always nicer to be a bit more, it says to accumulate more. No, that's lies, because you could just keep it as stable coins. People are talking about bank accounts. I've heard it now. I've been seeing it. If you said which exchange to change it to dollar, and that's not the same. If you're taking it to your bank, it's not to accumulate more. If you're, selling it, I get it. But if you're cashing out, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the same. No. I found you, little 𝗕𝗠𝗫𝗄𝗠𝗫. Don't play the trick on me. Tiger says, every day you ignore me. What did you say? You can look at... Brother, Tigers, real truth. I don't want to ignore you, right? But what you're writing, I can't even make sense of what you decided to buy. I cannot even grasp what you are saying right here. You can look at the coin. Name's the most atrocious name ever. All right, I don't even know what that's supposed to say. But again, let me finish here. I've been sitting in it for a month, and there is a 180% drawdown. Sad smiley. What to expect from the coin? Check, please. I don't know what you mean with 180% drawdown, because it has USDT in the name, it has Solana in the name, or it's like so as first think, oh, that's a meme then, right? And they just named it some stupid thing. But then how can you be 180% down? Like, what did you do? How can you be more, or I don't know what. So I don't mean to ignore you, but I just don't get where What are you even asking? Check out the coin. No. Why would my eyes ever lay upon this? Why would I ever do that? A friend recommended it to me. No! No, friends are dumb. Never buy what a friend says. If a friend is telling you should buy this, they're 9 out of 10 times dumb or stupid, or they're scamming you, dog. Oh, I always tell this. Even my family members, I always say, but they're stupid. If they tell me something's gonna 10x, it goes to 0 every freaking time. Why? Because they're stupid. Not like they're not stupid people, but when it comes to their investments, they're freaking dumb. It's most of the time. If they're like, oh, you should really buy this, they're dumb. I would never in my life tell my friend, oh, no, this is gonna do really, really well, dog. Even when it comes to Bitcoin, you guys know, crypto, I'm 99.9% in. But if somebody says to me, like, hey, should I? It's like, I'm personally quite excited about it, but at the end of the day, you don't really know for sure, right? But I mean, the results have shown for themselves. If they say, oh, you really need to go get this. That's what you should think. That's what you should realize. That most likely that's what the freaking bozo. If they're excited about something and they say, oh, I bought a ton, I'm really excited about it, it's different than if they're telling you should go get it. You should buy it. I'm not saying they are dumb people, but when it comes to investments, that delusion sometimes gets you ruined. And again, this is a little lesson there. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not trying to tell you you are stupid if you do this. But I just want the other person on the other side to see you that way then. If. You know, I just want y'all to know. I just want y'all to know that. Essentially, again, the only thing that can happen if somebody shills it to you like this is that you end up going a bit too hard because you saw their conviction. And the thing is, I always want you, let's say you do get their excitement. You want to feel the same and you got to look it up. If you don't feel it, you have to understand, you can't like suck in the conviction. I always say this. The worst reason for this, or the main reason the friends are like stupid for doing this to you, is because what they have is conviction. And they tell you, you should have that too. If you're just blindly following them, the moment it goes down 5%, you sell in a panic and you hate them. Now you hate your friend because they made you buy the wrong thing. Maybe it goes up like crazy over time and you might forgive them, but if it does not, well, that person, maybe for example, bought XRP at $3.50 or $3, let's say. Now, let's say $2. Was really convinced in it. It went down to 10 cents. You look at them like they're a freaking dumbass because it went down like 80%, 90%, 95%. But they were able to buy more, hold strong, and this is the best. And now all of a sudden they wrote it up and they made a freaking 10x because they were buying the way down. You didn't have their conviction. You borrowed their conviction. You looked at them and were like, yeah, it makes sense. But the moment it went down a little bit, you're like, sell, right? Especially when it was at 10 cents, you're like, no, getting out, this go to 0. So I always say, if you cannot get their conviction, right? It's not bad if they're excited about it and they say, oh, I'm really happy. No. That's all not stupid at all, even matter of fact. But telling you should just based on their word, I think is always dumb. 9 out of 10 times ends up with regret, failure, or hatred. And it's always better to introduce somebody along the lines of, oh, you should definitely check this out. It's really something interesting than, you should buy this. Especially if the name is dumb and it's small. Because 9 out of 10 times when people talk to me about small coins, they literally don't know what they're talking about and they don't have conviction. They would sell for a $7 increase. And again, you got to understand this also. Most people that come up to me with crypto are like, damn, bro, I did really, really well. I put $74 in and I was able to make $4. Woo-hoo! I done really well. And I get that. I'm excited for you, man. Amazing. You made some money with crypto. But I can't really do too much then with your crypto random meme coin type of advances you're trying to make on me right now. And again, I'm telling you right now, even my family members, some people I don't speak to too often, but they come up to me and say, man, you've been into crypto stuff, right? You should check this coin out. And he starts to, oh man, did I tell you guys? He started talking to me about a mimic coin. And what it's not mimic the name, it's a coin that tries to replicate another coin, so it's basically a scam. He tried to shill me. He says, brother, if you do not know how to buy, I will buy it for you. I think this is gonna 10x minimum. Just pay me. I'll buy it for you right now. And I texted him, or I texted my other family member, like, hey, because the other family member, this is like a reunion thing. They were excited about it, and I told them, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it. And I texted them like, this is a literal, this is not, don't ever send this guy money. And then later on, he came back to me and said, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I fell for it. Damn, that was stupid. And I realized, you see, it's one person that got to make a mistake. He was overly excited. He got everybody in, and now everybody loses. If only one person really did their DD, their due diligence, nobody would have fallen. Well, I guess the people that bought before. I know the exact coin it was as well, but I don't want to say. Just because if he's listening, I don't want to hurt his feelings. And second of all, because it was so stupid, you guys would never fall for that. Did they listen good? Yeah. Most people listen. Hey, Tiger says, I'm a newbie. I don't understand much, so I ask you to help me analyze where the price might go approximately. No, it go to zero. If it doesn't go to zero, you're lucky. But you should expect it to go to absolute zero because the name sounds stupid. And you might say, oh, Dusty, but Fartcoin sounds stupid. No, it doesn't. Fartcoin, I can really make sense of in my head. Hot air rises, Fartcoin. It's funny, goofy, cool. But whatever you just told me, I don't even want to look at it. I don't want to hear nothing of it. I think it's going to zero. If it doesn't, I'm very happy you made good money. And again, it's not always about the name. But if it's got USDT or Sol, no. I'm staying far away from that. There's a few other ones that did really well in the past. But for most of the runners, for most of the ones that really came to the top, you can kind of get it from the name also. Even 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗰𝗂𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 Potter Obama Sonic Inu. That's pretty funny. Or which one was another one? There's so many of those that are kind of stupid. But again, kind of funny. But the one you just told me, I don't know. I feel like you are trying to shill me something. I feel like it's your own coin. And you're trying to make me buy. I'm not looking at that, brother. And if it's not, and you're just a newbie, that's possible too. But I am buying none of that. I think it's going to absolute zero. And again, if it doesn't, I am very happy you got yourself a good ROI. And you can come back to the chat later and say, Dusty, you see, I told you so. I told you should have taken a look at it. But I would stay very far freaking away. Whoa, Buddies is back. Hey, what's up, Buddies? Buddy Spirits and Sugar. Yeah. There we go, bud. Welcome back, man. Any 𝗕𝗂𝘀 believers? I got 𝗕𝗂𝘀. I mean, a believer, I wouldn't call it, but their card is also pretty good. They're also okay. 𝗕𝗀𝘀, I mean, like I've told you 1,000 times, 𝗕𝗀𝘀 is a good coin in good markets. It does tend to perform really, really well when the market is up. A lot of people who are new to crypto, for some reason, get introduced to 𝗕𝗀𝘀. And so it's not, I think, bad. And the same thing goes again for 𝗲𝗎 and XCN and stuff. Coins that don't really know what they do. 𝗕𝗀𝘀 I know, but for the other ones I don't know. Diamond says, I'm stuck. Is there any news? I mean, there's a ton of news over the past 24 hours. But if you're asking, is anything based on price moving based on news? No. We're just coming up from a little bit of dippy dip. And funnily enough, it went actually all the way down to 295, which is crazy to me. Our main entry was 305. So it was still significantly lower that we could have gotten in, but it's okay. How many of y'all bought the dip, I wonder? Let's see real quick. How many of y'all are out here in these trenches? Don't forget, I'm bringing you and I as good 𝗕𝗠𝗀𝘀, to enjoy on the moon. Oh, that'll be I'll come back to that. It's in your name, so it's it's a bit hard to forget. Hans says pullback. Should have stacked more. You know, Hans, honest truth, that's always your name is React, so again you should have reacted a little bit quicker. But in reality, that's always the case. But if the price went down more, you would be happy that you didn't. And that's one of the, if you think about trading, if you think about buying these assets in a dip, if you're thinking about longing the dip, just know that it's never going to be that easy unless you've got real conviction. And even my conviction is troubly at times, meaning I never know how far we're going to crash, which is why I always keep some schmeckles on the side, just in case. And some people, they don't share that similar vision. They're like, this is it, right? Never go below 3 again. And there we go. Last night we went below 3. Right, it just happened. And now I'm saying again, but I said it before. I think if we're taking 280, which was a 30% crash from the top, I think that's a pretty good bottom to really kind of mentally base ourselves on. But you can see my liquidation is like a buck here, right? We're only trading with a little bit over $1 million. I'm still a little bit like with $1, I'm not scared at all. Not even a single percentage, by the way. Not scared at all. But I know that that's right now. But this number can go up significantly if the other trade starts falling down. And that's the funny thing. Because it's fun in games when the market is up and green and it's cool and all. But when you open big size and the market comes down, it does sting a little bit. And that's why sometimes I say it's wiser to lower the leverage a little bit. Just keep yourself in the game a bit longer. And if the market did move against you, you'll always hate yourself for not putting more, sure. But that's whatever you're able to live with. Some of my friends, they open like crazy when the market's green. Go, 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 go. But if your leverage is too high, you're going to hate yourself if the price comes coming back down. And essentially, they're not stupid for doing that because in essence, they should be right most of the time based on probability that the market does continue on in the trend as long as you can keep yourself going for a while. Even if you got wrecked, you got fully liquidated. If you were able to get yourself in, for example, you tried your first trade right here, 340, you got wrecked, right? You tried again at 323, you got wrecked. You tried again at 310, you got wrecked. You tried again at, for example, in this case here, 297, now you made it. Now, from that ground up, you potentially might never get liquidated again, and your heavily leveraged position might actually end up making way more than whatever these wreckages lost you combined. Especially if you were up in your game, right? For example, you entered with 1K right there, and all of a sudden you're entering with 5K at the bottom right there. That's even if you got wrecked. Do you hold gold? Yeah, but not that much. I had 100x leverage when Evergrande crashed. I got wrecked. Damn. 100x is manic. That's like maniac behavior right there. Unless you're doing cross. At that point you can. That must have not been a funny day to you, huh? Imagine. Nah, that's not a funny day at all. But I realized over time, and this is a thing that a lot of people not tell you, that most of the people that make tons of money in a bull market, really, what I've noticed is either they get a bit lucky on a coin, 𝗖𝗂𝗪𝗧, but a lot of them just get really, really good at buying with large size and having conviction. So that's why I always say, I prefer leverage over no leverage. And people sometimes say, Dusty, you shouldn't talk about leverage so much. I say, screw you, right? You're not going to tell me what to do. Because I've seen it work out so well for so many people. Where you get wrecked is over-leveraging, going too crazy on it. But as long as you're within margin, it just gives you way more relative. Again, it's not financial advice. I'm just giving you my own opinion. I'm never guaranteeing you anything, right? If you're dumb, you'll lose. If you're smart, you still might lose. It's the reality of the world. Right? I could be the smartest person out there. I could still lose. I could be the dumbest person out there and still make tons. So your intelligence says nothing. I'm not against. I'm not for anything, in essence. It's all on how you use it. Keep It says, how to do it in the USA? I don't know. I mean, in the US, doesn't matter. Just use a VPN, but that's just me, right? Blowfit, you can still use it anywhere. But if you don't want to use a VPN, then I do not know. Because the thing is, the US is a bit crappy. I think they're getting better, though. So maybe give it a few more weeks, and you should probably be good with something. I've used Mexi 200X. If you're using 200X, you deserve to be in a freaking asylum. You should be in one of those what's it called? You should be in one of these. There you go. This is where you belong if you use 200X leverage. This is exactly where you should be. Locked in here. Like, you see that guy right there? This guy right here? This is you soon. Or maybe this one, like the one over here. This could be you soon as well. And we'll come by, on the left. We'll come by sometime, stop over, take a few pictures of you, see how you're doing. But just know that that's where you belong at that point. That is maniac behavior. You should be isolated from society. Hey, we're moving it a little bit, though. Oh. Oh. Come on. What is the most recent top? It's here. Come on, XRP. Are we coming back? don't like the look of this anymore. Let's get rid of this. You could argue it again, by the way, huh? We agreeing on this? Or this is stupid? What are you guys thinking? Somebody says, what kind of pump? This clickbait? The title is huge pump incoming today? Question mark. I mean, last time when we hit an all-time high, we were also here in the waiting room, just and all of a sudden the price went absolutely nuts. So today I was like, you know what? Let's have a little chill session. Let's talk about the freaking damage done to our brain over the past 24 hours, partially due to TikTok brain rot, and partially due to prices coming down. Because I was watching a lot of videos of people saying, I was exit liquidity, no, they dumped on me, they dumped on us, I was so stupid, next time I'll sell. And then I realized to myself, first of all, most people are never going to sell. They're going to be stuck. They're going to be locked. They'll never sell because they are stuck to being in the freaking trenches. You can never leave crypto forever. It's impossible. Once you're in it, you're locked in. And this is the problem, right? Once you start opening too many of these chats, once you start buying too many of these coins, you're locked in forever. And this is the curse, right? But in the reality, the market moved down very, very hard. I, every single time, decide to buy. And afterwards, I sometimes hate myself because the price goes down further, or I made the best freaking decision. And this is the thing. You gotta have some conviction to buy that dip. Always afterwards, it's easy to say, oh, I should have. Right now, if we just get rejected, for example here, 227, right? Or 327, let's say, 326, and we go right back down to 295, a lot of people will say, you see, I should have given up, I should have sold, I should have 𝗕𝗕𝗕𝗕. And that's because it's always easy to sell these things in hindsight. But it's very hard to take the right, appropriate action. And that's why I say you should have a strategy and stick to it. It is objectively the easiest way to get through any sort of market, is to have a strategy and stick with it. Again, I'm not your financial advisor. I never make any guarantees. I'm just saying this is my own humble opinion. If you're just doing something, just clicking, I think it's quite easy to just get overwhelmed really quickly. But if you have a strategy in the back of your head, which is, for example, you buy every freaking dip like a maniac, I think it's not that easy to lose your sanity. Tomo coming with the £2 saying, play the pump song. I can't. We need to have a little bit of a pump before I can do that. I mean, the last 15 minutes have been good, but it's not that good. And I can't ruin the song just quite yet. Also because some people in the comments are hating that song so much. So I should keep it for the good pumps, the times where we are really excited, you know? Ethereum is back to 37.50 though. Like Ethereum and Bitcoin are acting like nothing happened. XRP is still down about 10%. But that's also what happens when coins are up significantly more. Chris says, I had a buy order at 290 to double my position. ETH. Yeah, ETH is sending it, huh? Oh, perfectly back. ETH went perfectly back towards support and just started sending it. Right from 3,500, just sending it back. 7% up today. Dios mío. Dios mío. All right. How's ETH doing? I mean, it's still looking pretty garbage. But that's because we have the XRP long next to it, right? That's why the 300K doesn't look that significant. And you know, you want to know the funniest thing? I still feel like I should buy more ETH. But I don't want to like overdo my account too much because it's already like 1.6. Let's say about 1.6, 1.7 mil. Maybe more. I'll calculate it. Is there a way to see it in your account? I don't know. 1.1 plus 72 plus. Yeah, it's 1.75 mil that we have open here. So I don't want to overdo it. I told you before, I want to open $1 million. And it was like, but now eventually, because of all the dips we've been buying, the only sad thing I feel is that even if we double, we only make 1.7 million. And you might say, Dusty, that's amazing, right? Yes, but not really, because that's if we double, and that's pretty much, like, to double is a lot of freaking money. That's why I'm like, I need more freaking coins. It's nothing. And to some extent, this is the attitude I think that also gets you to better spots. Partially, it makes you FOMO, which you could say is bad, but also partially, it keeps you on the side of trying your luck a little bit. And as I described before, I've shown you multiple of those tweets, right? Where it's like, in a market like this, if you really want to make it out to some extent, and you're not willing to buy anything, like you're not willing to try your luck a little bit, it's going to just be significantly harder. And for example, Ponzi had it this way. He said, man, today was a really bad day. I think he ended up being like 400K down or something. My below from was also, I think, 200K. No, 100 something K down, maybe. And then Pionex was also down, probably like 50 or 100K, I don't know. And then I realized, yeah, but that's also what it takes for you to get to the freaking top. All right, we got Developing with Jay coming in with the $20. Thank you very much, Jay. He says, we don't ever see this orange color, so that was interesting. Dusty, what do you do if you turned 35,000 into 455,000 with 125x on MEXC? Let's first of all say, if you are able to put 35,000 with 125x leverage, again, I already told you what I think. You should be stuck right in here. Because that is maniac behavior. All right? Because in essence, you did really, really well. But the margins on that are so stupid. Oh, okay, you mean you just turned it, you don't necessarily said you went in with 35. You just had 35 and you're using 125x leverage. I mean, you are a maniac. You definitely deserve to be locked up. You definitely should be. But you did do really, really well. So, I mean, maybe you should tell me. Can you tell me actionable next steps? I rebought at 298 as well as averaging buying up until 315. Not financial advice. Yeah, my not financial advice. My thoughts. If I did this, if I was able to run it up like this. Okay, real talk. If I was able to run it up this well, I'd go more. This is not advice. Don't do that. But this is what I would do. Because apparently you have a freaking edge. Because that should not work. All right? I have no idea how you're able to get it done. And that's why, to some extent, I think maybe you should keep doing whatever you were doing. Because, apparently you were freaking a genius at it. The counter is maybe you got really, really lucky. But you only figure that out if you try. But some of my friends, really, they do this consistently. They have some strategy, and I think it's stupid. I look at them and they're like, okay, you must be at the freaking bottom of the barrel. And they make millions of dollars through it. Because they just find something that they're good at, and they freaking milk the crap out of it. And nobody else has to understand it, as long as you do, and it sometimes just keeps working. So one part of mine would be, log it down, right? I was going to say, maybe you, you let me know what your next trade is going to be. We'll take it together, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Real talk. Maybe you're a freaking genius, dog. So at that point, maybe don't skip a working system. On the counter is, if it's 125x, yeah, you only need a little snippet of downward momentum and you're screwed. But if you're asking me next steps, brother, at this point, you should be the one telling me, because that is insane. But what I would do probably, real talk, real talk, a little bit, take it on the side. Because if we're talking about the best of the best traders, the one thing they do wrong is they go with everything again and again and again. If you're 35 in, 455, me personally, it's not enough to really do something massive with. Because let's say it's up to like 4 mil, something like this. You could take out, buy one house, let's say it's 1.5 mil or something like that. Now you're safe for that. You have half a mil for everything safe for at least a while. And you can use the other 2 for trading hard. If it's anything less than that, depending on the country you're in, it's good. It's good. But depending on the country you're in, if you're freaking, I don't know, the south of South Africa, right? You're in a freaking village. Okay, South Africa shouldn't use. Freaking Uganda, 𝗬𝗂𝗬𝗂𝗬, the freaking village in Uganda. Yeah, you're going to get really, really far with your 455, and you can basically live forever off of that. So I would take a smaller portion and go trade with that and go crazy. But in your situation, it's good, but it's not that good. You're not done, you know what I mean? So you still got a freaking mission to go for. Because I was going to say, oh, the bots are actually amazing. They are, but they're essentially slower than whatever you are doing by a huge margin. I would say look into them. just for like side pieces. Like for example, if we're looking back at it, the way they've performed is really, really good from the perspective of how much risk they carry. Quite little. I mean, there's always risk, of course, but it's quite understandable. But in terms of positions or where or what, I can't tell you that much because you've done really freaking good. But I would definitely keep some on the side for safety, also for your mental, right? You've been able to turn some into this. This is a cool story. You don't want the story to be 35 into 455 into 30 again, Dude, why do you use cross instead of isolated? So the problem with isolated is I can't use the rest of my margin. And because I use this account also for different purposes, I always have some money in the account left anyway. The reason I use leverage, I don't necessarily have to. I could actually lower this leverage down. For example, if I were to lower it down, in this case here, because I have pending orders, I can't do that. But I could lower the leverage down like you see on Hype or ETH. And all I do is pay less in funding fees, I believe. But I'm not even sure exactly. But I'm thinking it's on the amount borrowed, right? So in that sense, I could, theoretically speaking, pay less in funding fees perhaps, but I have more money stuck. But with isolated, again, all I do is just use slightly lower leverage. Now I can use higher leverage and keep more of the money free to move and do whatever I want with it. And unless the market moves a lot, yeah, it's just a bit easier. Saint says, but so the difference between cross and isolated, let's say here. All right, let's say we take my account and I have $500,000 here, right? So you can see on the right, you can see I have $500,000 sitting in there, just doing nothing basically. Well, if I used isolated, basically this trade at 253 would be wrecked 10% below it. So that would be about what? Let's say 230 or let's 220, whatever. Let's just say 220. Now this cross, you can see, because I can use the rest of my balance, I can get wrecked at about $1. I didn't have to do that. I could just add more margin. I could just be watching it. And the negative thing is, if I get wrecked, practically everything just gets wrecked. Because it could take the margin from all the other ones too, if you get my drift. It's like overflowing. And isolated, a lot of friends use isolated partially because if one goes wrong, you cannot get your full account wiped. And let's say you have a $20 million account, right? And one trade you do was wrong. You entered wrong and everything went bad. Now your entire account could be just completely because of the trickle effect if you were using cross. Because one gets wrecked, maybe it wrecks the others and the others. With isolated, you can only wreck whatever you put in. So there's different benefits to either. Because some people would say, well, if now, for example, this is too little. But let's say XRP crashes a good bit. Not only does my XRP position go bust, but all my others ones goes too. Because you're taking the margin away, potentially. Not necessarily, right? If the other coins stay stable, it's okay. But I'm saying if the other coins crash hard as well. But the counter is, now, we have the floating, we're using a whole freaking balance, so all these have no liquidation. So it's a double-edged one. Oh, shit. Oh, this is my worst post. No! You know what? I never have to be freaking camera shy anymore, though, because I've been stuck at, like... And at first, I could care, but nowadays, I don't give a crap no more. Let's see. So, Jay, what do you think about that? Let me know, man. What are you doing now? What's your plan? It's conviction is what it takes sometimes. Mister says, can I follow your signals? Sharing is scary. Why red lamp? Yeah, because the market was down yesterday, right? So I decided to put red lamp. I mean, what color? Because green don't look that good. I could go back to blue because the market is okay again. Or like a little bit like purple or so. Maybe we do purple today. Purple is a vibe. You know, I'm liking purple. It's like kind of calm, like kind of chill. We still have yet to break through though. Not the Jerome Power tie. Jerry says, I'm more of a green. We'll go green if XRP does something crazy. But the problem is it don't look that good in the background. You got to think about the aesthetics, you know. Orange is the real Dusty vibe. I ain't doing no orange, brother. But true, the logo, everything, it is a bit orange. The only purple I know is All right, we're moving though. We're moving. XRP moving. Let's see. Developing J coming up to $50 this time. Woo! Crazy. Still appreciate it. Thank you. What's your opinion on putting in on dividends that pay months? My current play is 298.315, bought 800k XRP, roughly 2.5 to 3 M of USDT on value, aiming for roughly $4.55. Do you invest in other cash paying assets to de-risk? From my personal thoughts, de-risking is not really a thing. Well, but that also depends on how much income you have, right? So let's break this down. What is your opinion on putting it in on dividends that pay months? Maybe you're meaning some sort of dividend option that gives you monthly recurring payments. Again, I'm not really that much of a dividend person. Basically, my investments, you could say like maybe like watches or things like that. I'm not really a real estate type of guy. And the main reason for that being, if I look back at it, you could say, oh, it's safe, oh, it's de-risking. Yeah, but I don't mind the risk. I feel as if, again, these are the opportunities which you should take. And I basically have a nice split between cash. You could say gold and precious metals and the watches and just gold itself. But honestly, those I just kind of have for the fun of it. But mainly it's just S&P, cash, cryptocurrencies. S&P, cash, cryptocurrencies are my main things. And gold and all that stuff and the watches, it's a couple, you know, it's some money, but it's but essentially it's not that much. And the main reason being, I believe in these cryptocurrencies way much more than you guys might realize. And there's never a day where I doubt Bitcoin, for example, or I doubt that crypto will keep continuing on like this for a long time at least. So, you know, and dollars, you might say, oh, but Bitcoin is essentially the opposite of the dollar, so it's bad. I still believe in dollars on this medium term as well, or euros or whatever, krona, or whatever yuan you want to go for. So I'm fine with having that type of split. And that's mainly my three. There are some LPs, like, or I should say some funds that I've put money into, but relative to the total size is not that much. And I've seen some funny stories today on Twitter of one of the guys who bought SOL really, really well. He lost like $10 million this year only on a liquid crypto fund. It's kind of funny. I wonder how mine is doing, if I'm also going to be down schmeckles on that. But so that's basically how I've split it up. I was thinking about real estate as well. I've thought about it. But that's not as liquid in that sense, or that dividend-y, unless you're renting it out. But I wouldn't do that. I would just, you know, keep it for the fun of that. It's not meant to say I don't have anything, but it's not relatively that interesting. So what is my opinion on dividends? Yeah, even though it's not my personal thing, I could understand it. And if trading is your lifestyle rather than like investments over time, then it could also make sense, like I said before, to have more of a stable thing. Indeed, like a few dividends that pay like a monthly income, for example, and then a house. And at that point, you're basically set so you can keep it up with crazy opportunities. Because if I look back at some of the best, even Ponzi here, for example, let's go back to that tweet. Ponzi here, I think he also, the moment he lost like a few $1 million, I think he also decided, hey, you know what? To stop myself from getting wrecked and going from whatever he was at, let's say it's, I don't know, let's say you go from $20 million back to $7 million to $4 million, whatever. You're like, you know what? I'm going to buy a freaking house. You got a nice little pad in Florida. And a little bit of schmeckles on the side just to keep yourself from being able to go down to zero. And once you have that, you're free to go because you, again, know your margins. You understand that the market is so good, you're probably going to win. But just in case you do mess yourself up and go a bit too risky, at least you get yourself to where you can make it back from. And that would include a little bit of schmeckles, like in this case, where you start with 35, we're able to run it up to 455. I would say get a little bit bigger of a base. But, you know, you keep something so you can always run it back up in case you do mess up. You get yourself a pad, and that means a house, just so you can never mess up in that aspect. Right? This is, again, if you want to keep the trading stuff going on. But if you're talking about getting out of all the trading stuff, you want to get out of everything, at that point, this is essentially not what you're saying, though, because you're saying, again, you want to de-risk in one end, but on the opposite side, you're still playing with significant sums, right? Because you're saying you did buy some coins, which you're trying to basically, let's call it almost double, or let's say about 50% up or something like that. But then essentially you're also trying to de-risk. So in that sense, I don't know. You're doing both the sides. On the one hand, you're going extra risky because you're buying a significant amount of coins. On the opposite side, you're saying, well, what do I do? Or are you just asking what I'm doing? So cash paying assets, not really. Not necessarily the biggest fan of. But that's also because my income is incredibly high. So I don't necessarily need any other cash thing. But if I did not have it, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. But I don't have that much experience with these dividend things. So that's the best answer I could give you right there. What I would personally do, real talk, even if you could have put up more, as I take a good chunk out, you could also say you slash parts. But the only thing I tell people all the time is a lot of people get wrecked because they go on too good a spree. And even though I keep saying you might have an edge, you should milk that. It's true for a good market, you know. Some of these guys, especially if you're on CT and you're a bit deeper, you realize some people are able to run up like a few $100 million in a season. You might say, well, but that's only no. Some people, they start with 5K, they start with 0, it could be, and they just run it up to the freaking top. Most people don't think they're that good until it all of a sudden happens. And that's especially coming from the people that quietly, you know, don't actually, like, for example, are big Twitter figures. They quietly just have found something that just works for them, and they're able to milk it for slightly longer than they thought would be possible or sane. And most people, they quit because they think, oh, I can lose. You can't. You could have done that from the start. Very often, they've found something which essentially, if the market just does not go against them completely, works. And again, if that was super targeted level, you were so done with it, okay, maybe not. But essentially, you got to remember, if you'd bought the S&P, if you bought Bitcoin, throughout all this time, even XRP, funnily enough, you would have always won because they're at all-time highs. So in the middle there, it's only how much conviction did you have to buy the dip because it would have worked out. And a lot of people, even with smaller amounts of money, could have made a lot because the run-up for XRP's run here, for example, was really large. And Bitcoin throughout the year, for example, was really quite large, especially if you added leverage at the bottom and you were able to scale in from time. That was a longer swing, but regardless, they were able to do really, really well. So then I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, if the market is mostly moving upwards right now, is this the time to de-risk? Yeah, I always take some from the trades, but in essence, I feel like that mostly comes later. So again, if you have good connections, you can go for some funds, right? Because especially the more money you got, the more you'll find friends that have the craziest different ways to put money into. So that you can find. I think funds are quite nice because they might be completely separate from what you do. There could be, of course, the gold and precious metals, etc., which I think essentially have kind of like the same risk reward as Bitcoin. So I wouldn't necessarily stay too much into that. But maybe you like it. Maybe you like your watches. Maybe you like your things of that sort. You can do real estate because there could be income from that. You could also go for those, what do they call them, like REITs or something. You know, those funds which actually invest in real estate. So you just got a part of that. Again, not that much a big fan. That's also because real estate is not my forte. I just keep thinking that I could rather just go for crypto with it. But my counter would be that if you're a trader and you live a little bit more along the lines of no real income, mostly just volatility. Yeah, REITs, right? Okay, REITs. I thought it was REIT. Then getting some sort of backing, some sort of base would be quite smart. And the reason I say buy a house, not like go for the mortgage way, but actually buy something, is because that way you can't lose no more. So you've got a proper base. Developing says, or as Jay says, I optimize for my mental. So with making 500K, let's say, it's nice. But if you could de-risk 100K into dividend, yeah, it doesn't get much. But let's say it was 5M, 2.5 will get you 17K a month. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, but again, that's because you might, if you have no income, then that makes sense. But again, this is not my situation. So I don't even know where to start. Because me personally, I would just max out S&P. But there's probably some people who are doing awesome with dividends. But you're right. Essentially, the return, in my opinion, is so little for dividends that I'm like, oh, whatever. But if you want to have that as income, sure. I get that. But yeah, I don't know. Nobody I know goes for a dividend strategy. It's mostly the stock people as well that do that way, right? I've never heard a crypto person be like, okay, let me go for dividend stocks now. But it's also because the relative gains are so little But yeah, I mean, if you do, we should have you on the show sometime. You explain the freaking strategy. Let me know how it went. Because it's a cool story, though. But optimizing for mental is key. Then again, I don't know. It's going to be hard. And the reason I'm saying it's going to be hard is because this market gets so much crazier. I hope you don't make a FOMO mistake, brother. I really do. I really hope you don't. Jason says, why do crypto banter hate XRP so much? They struggle to even mention it. They don't. It's just, banter is funny in that sense. They don't believe in XRP, but if the market's really, really good, they'll still talk about it. They'll mention it. Right now, XRP is down, so they won't, but if the market is up, they'll talk about it. But Rand does not believe in XRP/Ripple. But I remember a few months ago, this is one of the founders of Crypto Banter, when XRP did a really crazy run. What was that? Like the November area, we came together, and all of these people were in a circle shaking my hand because I was right about XRP. It was really, really funny. Because they're all like, whoa, you're right about XRP. Because before they hated it, but then all of a sudden the market went up and everybody started talking about it. Everybody was happy about it. And that's the thing. A lot of people are not true fans of a coin, but they don't have to be. They're fans of the price action. And when it comes to XRP, a lot of people don't like the fact that Chris Larsen is selling so much. All the founders are exiting. But I always say, with Bitcoin, essentially, the main founder, right, Satoshi and Satoshi's wallet, it's not dumping, sure. But we don't know all the other ones. We don't know where the rest of the Bitcoin really went or where they're staying at, all this stuff. We don't know. Maybe all the older ones, the old generation, even though they believed in it, they've actually cashed out. A lot of them probably have. But it's the conviction from the main wallet that keeps people, okay. But in all reality, right, even if Chris Larsen, David Schwartz, all these guys believed in XRP to the core of them, it does make sense to cash out when you've got $25 billion, $45 billion in unrealized P now on those coins. In reality, you could ask yourself, but if the thing is going to be higher, why don't you just keep it? Yeah, but it's already like freaking $40 billion. Like, what are you waiting for at that point? You might say, yeah, but it's going to be the system. If they're making it, right, sometimes it doesn't hurt to take away part of your, to get rid of part of your creation. You might say, yeah, but Amazon, for example, if you look at Jeff Bezos, right, he's selling Amazon stock. I think he thinks Amazon is going to go way further. But still, first of all, you maybe just want to get some shares out there to other people. This could be, but also partially, you're making enough. You just sometimes want to realize it, get it, maybe do something else with the money. Maybe a Chris Larsen, for example, selling those freaking coins and building freaking, a space company like Jet McCallum was doing, right? Elon Musk has done it in a bit of a different way for tax reasons, but I can't judge those guys ever when they want to get rid of some coins or some stock or whatever. I get it also. Let's say a lot of you guys would never be able to hold for this much P now. You'd already sell at freaking $7 profit. Bernie says, don't we want Larsen to distribute his coins? No. Essentially, the best case scenario is if he just says, this XRP will be worth tens of trillions. I will keep this forever and never sell because this is the ultimate level of wealth. And then just borrow against your coins, So you take debt against the coins you have, you put them up as collateral. This would be optimal scenario because those coins would never see circulation, which means less coins for people to go around, which means higher price. And if everybody decided to do that, it would almost always get the price to a higher level. So that's the best scenario. You could argue that it's preferable for him to offload them at lower prices than higher, but for them, everything is high when it was free, if you get my drift. Everything is zero. So, and they've got basically an infinite amount of coins. They just have to watch for selling pressure. Because again, when we're talking about tens of billions of dollars, it's mostly just about offloading it onto the market without much of a move because they've already made it. Right? I don't know how many billions they already cashed out, but they've also got Ripple equity, also again probably worth $1 billion. So no, I don't know why it would be nice for him to circulate these coins, but you could argue that if they're moving anyway, you prefer to have them out of his hands as soon as possible. But then again, for every buy, there's also a sell. So from that angle, whoever's selling it doesn't matter that much. It could be him or another person. But even if they go back to circulation, all it does is get them back into circulation. But then again, because they're in a hot wallet, it all doesn't matter who's owning them. So no, I don't know why it would be good or bad for him to sell or buy or do anything. It's just all the same. Because again, maybe he sells 1 million coins. They go out to the market. Yeah, so they're going to go into somebody else's pocket who is again going to sell. So you could argue, yeah, but we prefer if he's selling them now because now he's selling for cheap. Yeah, but somebody else will buy them for cheap and sell them for high. So it's always going to be sold again. So I don't think it changes too much. Tales from Crypto says, Bernie, that's FUD. He's talking about everyone says XRP is too centralized, but how else would it become more decentralized? I don't know. I don't feel like XRP is too centralized or exactly where that's coming from. Also, depending on what type of person you are, if you really care about the decentralized nature of this all, which coin do you support, right? Because making money and being there for the true essence of cryptographic currencies and all that stuff, these are two different things. Because you'd not be a fan of anything. You cannot be a fan of anything, not be a fan of centralized exchanges, nothing. But I don't think that makes your life that much easier, honest truth. But to get back to it, the CEO of Bitcoin, there's no CEO of Bitcoin. There's no CEO of XRP either. You have a CEO of Ripple, which is Brad Garlinghouse. By the way, Brad Garlinghouse is not the founder of XRP or something like that. Also not the founder of Ripple, really, but he's just the CEO. Not sure why my text didn't initially show in Dusty's chat. I don't know, man. What's SMP? Survival multiplayer, maybe? Or maybe Simp? People think XRP is centralized because of Ripple, but they don't get it. You know, if people say that, let them speak, brother. You know, the amount of misconceptions that are out there, let them fight their own battles. It doesn't matter that much anymore. At the start, like years ago, I tried to fight it, but nowadays I'm like, you know what? If you want to say that, if you think that's the case, you do you, dog. Right? You have your own opinion. I'll have my own. It's all good. Let's hope XRP breaks out here and goes on a run. Would setting up a bot on a highly volatile coin like whatever be a good idea? So the thing is, I'm not even sure if they have that. You know, you got to, of course, check if they have one for whatever coin you're mentioning because they don't have everything. Maybe this is the one you're talking about. The reason I'd say no is because if the market goes against you, right, you got to be able, let's say you're adding, so let's say this actually goes to zero, then bots are not fun. It's only if you essentially think the price will go up over time or get to a similar level that it's good. Let's say the price only goes down from here. The amount that your bot will be down will not be covered by the volatility most of the time. It could be, but that will take a long time. And I never really think that's worth it. I just think you buy into things that you essentially think will go up over time so you can actually make money on the overall P&L. But on the short term, hopefully they're also volatile so you make some grids. But I don't buy something just for the grid profits unless your idea is just set up a range right now, for example, set up a range for the next 4 hours, whatever, right? So you set up a range from, for example, 0.0886 to 0.18. You think it's going to trade between this. You make a lot on the grids and you cash out. You do this a lot of money. This could be done, but that's hard, man. At that point, again, you're applying a lot of strategy, which is specific. And you may find an edge and you may have something that works. But that's hard. That's hard time. That's tough. All right. Are TIA and CRO also bad? What do you think? What do you see the prospects are? So TIA, no, it's not necessarily. So scam is always hard to say. I say TIA has been, Celestia has been really bad, but that's because it's seasonal. Like Celestia had a really good season at the start. Airdrop season was amazing, and it could actually come back in a little while. But right now it's just down. There's no hype. There's no momentum on it. CRO, Crypto.com, well, it's only their coin, right? It's the coin from Crypto.com. It's an exchange coin. Usually they also do really well somewhere in the season. But again, Crypto.com is not that popular as an exchange right now. But I do see some really bullish future for CRO still. TIA, not so much. We just have to see if the hype comes back up. I have a lot of TIA though. Jay says, 17K per month, decent life. It de-risks your brain cells, so when shit hits the fan, inevitable mentally you're fine. You're playing the game. Don't care about the dollars. What I'm thinking. What's a good salary? You know what I mean? You're fine. There's nothing bad against that. I think 95% of people would say that $17,000 a month is good. 19, probably more than that. Probably now, maybe 95% of people say that's pretty decent. I mean, it's decent. Let's just say differently. It's good. You can survive comfortably in any country with that, in any city even. So you're fine. You're still the top of the top. I mean, you don't. It's not FU money, but it's good. You can do a lot of stuff with that. So from that angle, yeah, I agree with you. But it's not my thing. But again, if you don't have any income, then I do get why you do that. Yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking is you should probably try something like that out, and you should let us know how it's been going for you. You can be the one to tell the rest of the chat here. I don't know how many people here are in the exact same situation, but regardless, I'm also quite curious now to see, how does that go? I can text one of my friends that was really good with stocks. He's always the one to tell me what to buy in stock realm. And again, now you might think, Dusty, what do you mean? Well, because again, I'm not a stock type of person. I don't like to buy individual stocks. I like to buy different funds or basically send money to different people to do stuff for me, so to speak. You might say, oh, what? I don't never send your money to somebody, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not guaranteeing you nothing. I'm not promising you anything. I'm not asking you for any money. But I just mean, whatever I don't know, I like to sometimes let other people manage it. But the counter would be, again, Big Brain Soul had a really interesting post today that the money he invested, let me find it. He put money, this is the guy who's really, really well known for buying the Solana bottom with 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 I'm never investing in a liquid crypto fund again. How the am I down 10 million through the first half of the year? And the funniest thing is, he was actually up, I think, let's see here. Where's the funniest post of all? Here we go. Honestly, I'm not that upset about being down 10 mil on paper from the fund. Money isn't real till it hits my account. I agree. What upsets me greatly is that if I have a K1 from them in 2024 showing 8 million gains, so I owe 3 million taxes on it, leaving LPs with huge tax burdens while taking huge carry. So all these parts, if you want to break it down, leaving LPs, if there's a fund, in this case here, the liquid crypto fund, right? For example, if I want to now put money in that, I'm an LP, right? I'm a liquidity provider. You provide money for that fund. The huge carry here, meaning the fund, they make freaking schmeckles. But in this case here, the entity, what this K1 stands for is that the entity does not carry the tax burden, the individuals, the LPs do. So if the fund makes a massive amount of profit, right? Let's say 50% profit. You get yourself a nice little K1 at home saying, hey, on the profit you've made on this fund, you owe this much in taxes, which by the way, this form comes really, really late. I'm stuck again, I see now. Oh, we're stuck. Let me change this over. There we go. Should be good. Takes a really long time, but you eventually get it. And then all of a sudden, you got to pay your massive schmeckles and taxes on it. But c'est la vie, huh? C'est la vie. And that also can happen. But I do not know. Like, I don't know how some of these guys are able to do so bad. How could they have lost year to date 10.1 million? And what they stated, by the way, the fund basically said that they were taking some heavy trades to farm the hyperliquid airdrop. And the funny thing is, I'm not sure if this is true. No, don't take this. But I believe what they did is they went crazy on the trading. We're not doing really, really good. Are hoping for a hyperliquid season 2 airdrop to make the money back that they lost, basically. But they closed the fund because they were doing so bad. So they themselves, as the fund, which now is closed down, get the airdrop. So it's like infinite money glitch, like for them. Really kind of funny. Tiger says, let's say you have a challenge 1K to 100. What would you do? I mean, I've already shown it to you. I'm doing a 10K to a million challenge, and it's doing pretty well. So, you know, that's something I could say. But to counter that, you know, I would probably, if I was new now again, and I had 1K is a lot if you want to be a Degen with it. It's a lot to go crazy on. And I'd personally just go on the leverage charts and go crazy and hope to make it big one of these times. Because I could say memes, I could say this, that. But we're not in the market where you buy anything and it just goes crazy. That's not the market right now, right? And also, again, I'm not making any guarantees. But what I would do is, again, go a bit crazy on the leverage and just hope you get a lucky break. Real talk. That's what I would personally do. Because otherwise, to get to your crazy, crazy status, you want to buy mansions and stuff, it's going to take a long time if you're buying small amounts of coins every time. It could happen, right? But at that point, you need a few good coins in a row. But with leverage, this makes it a bit more feasible. If you have multiple runs, if you have income as well, you can potentially buy the dip over time. This is different. But if you're talking about one schmeck right here, pretty late into the market, we're not in the craziest of alt season yet. But again, we do not know the next big trend. So if we wanted to do it right now, before the real season is showing itself, because again, you could do really, really well off of just coins. But let's say you 15x it, right? You 15x whatever you had because you do really well on rotating 3 different coins. It's still only 1K to 15K. So then you still need to make some plays, and that means you got to go a bit faster with it. Then again, maybe in the alt season you find just one play that does a 1400x and you're done. Could be, but that's hard to say beforehand right now. So if we're talking about strategy, again, there's 2. One is you play your cards right whenever they are properly dealt, meaning when the market is really, really good, you go. But right now we're before that, basically. Not everyone has 10K, but the 1K challenge is relevant now. What would you do at this point? Brother, well, what do you mean? I seriously don't want to insult you, but what the difference between 10 and 1 is just divide everything by 10. It's the exact same strategy, the exact same plan. It doesn't change anything except for the fact that it's 10 times less. I told you just earlier in the stream, and it seems you're here, that I could have also done it with 1 million to 100 million. But the problem is, if the market goes against you, it's a lot of money to be down. So I did it with a range where I'm really, really comfortable. Where's the website? This is 𝗙onex. So I told you before, in essence, the trading strategy is the same because XRP or whatever that we're doing now, or Bitcoin, are so large, you could do it in the exact same manner. And the funny thing is, you might say, Dusty, why don't you do it with 1 million to turn it into 100 million then? There's people doing that. People do it, but it's relative to the amount of money you're comfortable with. I told you before, almost anything I talk about here, you could do with $50 million. Because Bitcoin is so freaking large, it's usually quite okay. Or XRP is so large, it's usually quite okay. The problem is, okay, maybe 50, if you're still doing it with leverage, is too much, right? You're moving the market too much at that point. You got to watch out for that. But let's say it's slightly less. Let's say it's 50 after leverage. People are doing this. 8 million after leverage, they're doing this. It's just you might be less comfortable. And Adam says, he means he doesn't have 10K. I understand what he means, but that has nothing to do with it. Smorg says, all right, if I have 1K, 50X. No, I would not 50X it. But even at 5X, at least you have 5 times as much, right? And you still have an amazing drawdown potential. 50X! We try it! No, that's crazy. Oh. What's your exposure and how comfortable are you with your exposure? Literally trading in a nutshell. Yeah, I mean, even my exposure, it's an interesting one because my funds are so spread out. It's so separate. I've got so many different small baskets everywhere. And the thing is, it's mostly still within crypto, sure. But essentially, my exposure to one coin is almost impossible to measure. Even just on this, you can see I have 4 different XRP bots, right? And then spread this out. On every exchange, I probably have an XRP long open, right? On every single one of them. But then I also have my spot XRP. But my spot XRP is also spread among 40, okay, not 40, but you get the idea. 40 different exchanges. So how many XRP do I have? How much Bitcoin do I have? I don't freaking know, dude. It could be 4 times as much. It could be, 80% less. I just don't know. I don't even know a about number. Like, okay, my ledger I can easily see. But all these exchanges, I don't freaking know. All these different places. Some ledgers I don't even have tracked in my app. Samu says, how do sites like 𝗙onex, it's 𝗙onex, make their money when it seems like everyone is winning? Are they betting on people over there? What do you mean? You're paying fee. How do you think Binance or Coinbase exists? They don't win from you losing. That's a freaking casino. And that's a completely different thing. They're making money on fees. They just want you to trade. A freaking casino, which I don't want to mention. They love when you lose. These guys are rooting for you to win because then you trade more. What do you mean? They want you to win as much as possible so you keep going. Matter of fact, none of them are rooting for you to lose. You could say maybe, but perhaps liquidation fee, maybe there's a small portion in that. But I think their main thing is just you coming in, becoming the highest tier VIP, and you trading like a freaking madman. And fun fact, you want to know the funniest of things? And this is something a lot of people do not know. If you trade enough, really, this is funny, right? If you trade enough and you're actually that good, right? This is what they sometimes call a market maker because they have algorithmic trading, I guess, service. Is it the English word for it? Let's just say they do algorithmic trading. But you actually have a good strategy. All you have to be is delta neutral. You just have a strategy that returns you 0%. You want to know what's something funny? The exchanges will pay you. You don't pay fees. They don't want you to win or lose. They just want you to trade. They don't give a crap about what you do. If you have a strategy that results in you getting back to exactly zero, you'll make a ton of money. Matter of fact, you'll make probably hundreds of millions of dollars as long as you can get to zero. As long as you have a strategy that's not zero, you can make a ton, but you got to trade a lot. They'll pay you for the volume that you do. So that's a funny thing people don't understand, right? First of all, your fees can get really, really low as long as you trade enough, if your fees are the issue. Second of all, if your latency is an issue, you can get that fixed. I can get that fixed for you right now. And again, you're thinking, what do you mean? What do you mean? Some people, they need the millisecond to trade better on, right? Especially if you're trading high frequency with tons of money. But all of that can be done for you. You need lower fees, can do that for you, but you need to trade a lot. And people come here saying, oh, but I'm trading $70. They're not going to make any exception for you. But there's people trading, tens of billions of dollars every single month. Maybe they're trading $1 billion a freaking day. Yeah, you can make a ton of money off of that. You're going to have an automatic edge over anybody else. And again, most of y'all in the chat, you don't know this, right? You don't know that there's some people out there doing crazy, crazy things. It might just be a 30-year-old guy sitting in a freaking room who just has a freaking edge. It's there. And it could be anybody. So you're saying, so when someone gets liquidated, Payonics doesn't make any money on that. Theoretically speaking, the exchange could have some sort of fee to set up the liquidation fee, right? But I don't think that's their main bread and butter. That wouldn't make sense. Essentially, if you're longing, somebody else is shorting that, right? It's always a two-sided way. If you're making money, somebody else is losing it. And you got to understand, for every single second you decide to sell, somebody else is out there buying that. Well, essentially that depends on whether or not you're putting a maker or taker order. You could potentially just put an order in the order book. You put it up there and somebody else takes it, which is why there's different fees for maker and taker also. Because one is making that book liquid or liquid looking, and the other one is basically taking it away from that, right? It's taking away the liquidity of people that put their orders in or put their orders up. But essentially, the money comes from that. Why do you use cross? Just because I can. Can you show me how your bots are doing? I'm about to sign up from your links. Man, you can just literally go to one of the links down below and you can see every single one of my bots and how they're doing. Every single one of them, nothing's hidden. You can see everything. Everyone that's at a loss, you can see right there. Everyone that's at a profit, you can see right there. How much of a profit they're in, you can see. When I open them, you can see what the settings are, you can see. So, yeah. Just there's a link below that says copy my bots, I believe. You can see every single one of them. I'm gonna go get a drink downstairs. Give me a sec. Probably 3 minutes. I have to go a few floors down, get myself another little drink. So I'll be back in like maybe 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Let's see. I wouldn't say the market has really been for us for a little bit right now, huh? Sheesh. But it's all good. You know, theoretically speaking, today... Oh? Sometimes I get so scared when this happens. I still don't fully get why or what is causing this to happen. Let me go back, take this out, close it up. There we go. All right. We got Jarek coming with the €5. Appreciate that. Saying, do you find the crypto market pumping hard at the same times? Most of the time, I have a feeling that it's going hard shortly before Europeans get up. No. But if you found a certain edge in that, again, don't tell us. Analyze it properly and become a freaking billionaire overnight. Because if you're right, if you have found this edge, and that's the difference between a feeling, you feel a little bit, or it's provably true. And so the only thing you can do right here is go through the motions, start analyzing it for every single morning. You can have an algorithm that does it, or you can probably either write a bit of code or let ChatGPT write a bit of code for you or whatever, right? Start looking, what is the historic performance every single time around the time you're saying? Maybe plus minus a little bit. You bet. Woo! That was a good fall. Damn! What just happened? Who sold? But so my answer would be, it could be so, but I wouldn't know because it's not within my strategy. And thus far, I've not really seen any pattern that signals that necessarily. But if it's so, again, like I said, you can literally become a freaking top 10, top 1% person. All you got to do is just lock the frick in, make sure that what you're saying is actually true. Because if it's just a feeling, I don't know what you can do with that too much. I mean, if you really feel that, try longing every single time, right? Not financial advice, just my thoughts. But that's the difference between, I think this might be so. Oh, stuck. Versus this is a thing. Wow, man. Because if you're right, you can make a ton. Trump raiding the Federal Reserve? When is he going? Like, he's going in the... Is that going to be like a live type of thing? Let me see. Trump going Fed. Trump is touring a construction project at the Federal Reserve on Thursday afternoon. A visit that increases the White House's pressure on the Fed's chairman over his handling of the economy and his oversight of multi-billion-dollar renovations to the central bank's headquarters. The visit by the president, announced by the White House late Wednesday, appeared to be part of the administration's relentless campaign against the Fed chairman Jerome Powell, but also part of Mr. Trump's continuing efforts to divert attention from its handling of the Jeffrey case. Here's another XRP or MBG token. All right, appreciate that. Coming at the €2.50. Alexander says Europeans never sleep. They never do, indeed. €2.50 for an XRP, huh? You know how depressing that sometimes gets, that these coins are becoming so expensive, like to where they were a while before? You get my drift? Like if you were always buying something, for example, at 50 cents. Oh, Starlink is down worldwide, guys. Wait a minute. Starlink is down. I just got a message. Starlink down. Oh, it's been out for like a half an hour. Ooh, that's bad. Kevin says, been watching you for about a week, and faithfully. Faithfully. Any videos that you would recommend? I have a video in the description down below that explains everything I'm doing. For some free bonuses, make sure you use the link down below to sign up. Let's see. Today, not that many funny posts, though. Like, today's been a pretty quiet day in that regard. Ari had a nice little post. She said, the top reasons I hold XRP. The following answers were disqualified as options because they are so ridiculous. All Japanese banks will use XRP. XRP was created to stop, I'm not even going to say that. It's an ISO coin. I believe the price chart guys that pay influencers to plug them at the end of their videos. I believe the price chart guys that pay influencers to plug them at the end of their videos. I don't know exactly what that means. By the way, you know, I don't have contact with Ripple or XRP team members or anything like that. I wish Ripple would pay me to make videos for them, but they don't. Just so you know that. Or XRP, whatever, right? Just so you really are understanding that. Not a single day. Matter of fact, I wanted to do an interview with Stellar's team a while back. You know how difficult that was to get set up? The process to, because I was in touch with Stellar, not for a paid thing, but for getting an interview. And the hoops I had to go through to get that set up, I was like, you know what? Eat poop. I don't want to interview none of y'all no more. All right? And this was like years ago, and I just couldn't do it. I think you just need somebody, I need to hire somebody that's like a communications specialist who just goes to LinkedIn and emails everybody with the same template, who knows how to do that. Because I saw them in real life, and they just were basically like, yeah, no. But, so I was like, why don't they want to set that up? That is crazy. Regardless, though. She also said, I believe the price... oh, yeah. So, what is the reason, if you guys had to say, Team Ripple, soon king of DeFi, 2017 Moon Stories, multi-chain gas token? Can you add a they finna use it option? Who is the they, Mr. Saul? Not the Jimmy Valley buyback button? Oh, are you guys here for all that drama? Those are such funny times, man. Those are, like, I have so many core XRP memories that maybe a lot of y'all don't have. So sometimes I look back and think, oh, that used to be so funny. And I'm realizing a lot of people were probably not even here back then. Let's see, I hope I didn't miss anything. Let me quickly scroll through. Jay says, thanks for explaining the fees with exchanges. Makes sense why 𝗵𝗲 told me I'm now diamond tier just to lower fees. No other benefit, kind of whack. Jay, text me on Twitter, bro. Let me see what I can do for you. 𝗵𝗲, first of all, is pretty garbage. Like, honest talk, I did a video about that, or I said it in a stream, I think yesterday or the day before. Like, out of all of them, 𝗵𝗲 is good for spot. If you're buying something and you just, well, it's okay. But first of all, 𝗵𝗲 support garbage. Second of all, they have too many freaking people reaching out to sign up. I find it sketchy. And I think they're quite safe in that sense, right? But I don't use 𝗵𝗲 because it's ass. If you ever try to trade and you trade anywhere else, you realize 𝗵𝗲 is kind of ass. But specifically, if you trade high frequency, I might be able to get you better deals on different exchanges, but it depends. But that's why. Send me a message, say it's Jay here. We'll see what we can do. Dusty, my pregnant wife was crying all day. What do you mean about funny? She can't handle dumb. Brother, I have no idea what you're talking about. Alan says, what's cheap right now? Bro, we are seeing a dip. People don't understand this. In bull markets, even CZ tweeted it earlier today. And you got to understand, essentially, everything below an all-time high is dip. Everything below an all-time high is cheap. If we're talking about something that just hit an all-time high, for example. Miles said, in a bull market, you long the freaking dips. I really stand by this. But also, if we go back to CZ, and this is a freaking funny post, but I don't want to show it to you because it's a bit, it's a bit crazy. I'll get rid of it. Here we go. Dip again, keep building 12 hours ago. If you just, I think really, if you just listen to Trump and CZ, like real talk, not financial advice, no guarantees, but those two have been freaking good at calling out bottoms, calling out tops, and calling the freaking new market moves. Jedek says, people are pretty tired right now. We are waiting, call me for the storm. We need some spark, a sudden pump. And the thing is, if people are tired right now, it's because they've gotten impatient from the market moving too fast, too quick. Like a while back, recently here, this, whatever we see right now, has been absolutely crazy in terms of volatility. But we've gotten used to crazy pumps right now. Like Bitcoin is at a freaking all-time high. Ethereum is at freaking 3,800 almost. Things are doing really, really great. People still think, wow, I want the crazy times back, and I get it. Check Trump? You mean Trump coin? Or what do you mean check Trump? Oh, you're saying he's live right now? Really? I thought maybe my Trump coin, but that's not doing anything. Wait, there's really a live for Trump. Trump Fed live? Is there really? Let's go take a look.
When we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
Mr. President, does the issue give you any? As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time. Because it looks like it's got a long way to go.
Yes, sir.
So,
President, are there
Fun
things
fact, the White House's website is still not showing anything.
Back off some of the earlier criticism?
well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you? The country is doing really well. I just briefed the chairman of the deal with Japan. Japan is putting up $550 billion in order to lower their tariffs a little bit. That way they have a little bit lower tariff. And they also opened their country to free trade, which nobody thought was even a possibility. And we get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country, so it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's a total of $550 billion. So nobody thought any of that was possible, and it's wonderful. And we're doing pretty well with the European Union, likewise. And we have some others. They're all really big, and our country's going to make a lot of money. We would be helped if interest rates would come down, but we're going to see how the board rules on that soon. I'd love to see them come down a lot. But we have a country that's thriving. We had a country 1 year ago. Today we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And we'll get this one finished. Thank you.
This is so awkward. I want him fired! Just you gotta walk next to him like, that was it?
Two observations out the gate. Where is Senator Tim Scott's hard hat? So that's a little bit concerning to me. But other than that, Jerome Powell needs to resign. I mean, what a curmudgeon. I mean, what a jerk. It's incredible to act like you have that much attitude next to the President of the United States. Is he being so graciously touring what's going on there? And by the way, you work for the American people, Jerome Powell. So if you can't be up to the task, if you're going to be too late, as you always are, there's the door.
Wow.
Let's see the construction.
18 or 21, 35, or even getting up there in age as the great statesman himself, inventor as well. Philadelphia, sir, Mr. Franklin. Gift.
At the construction, and we're with the chairman, as you know. Chairman, come on over. And we're just taking a look at what's happening. You know, it's a tough construction job. They're building basements where they didn't exist or expanding them, and a lot of very expensive work. There's no question about it. And Tim has been with me for a long time, and you're in charge of the committee.
Indeed. One of the reasons I wanted to see it was the overruns of the expenses, wanted to figure out why.
Yeah. So we're taking a look, and It looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us.
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just
That's
added.
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building,
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use. But no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire them.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
But in reality, if the real estate developer is over budget, in this case, with such a massive project, I don't know. But that was funny as crap, to be honest. To me, at least. Let's see. Did I miss anything? No, we had this one done. Let me see. Where is... Let's see. Thanks for explaining the fees. Yeah, Jay, make sure you send me a text. Let's see this. Mrs. XRP is back. Okay, took you out. Jay says again, Jay, you're coming in with the $5 again. Appreciate that. Saying, crazy times will come. The kimchi premium will push the price more for XRP, I think. Can you explain how to view time frames? Are certain hours better? Bro, that depends on your strategy. But, no, I can't even say that. So some of my friends, they only like 15-minute charts, and they just do their overall analysis, let's say, on higher time frames. But my own analyst, for example, he does like 4 hour, I think is this. Let me see real quick. Let me see real quick. Let's see. Yeah, no, his thing is like... his thing, I think, is not... I'm looking through. Everything he sends me, 4 hour to 2 days. 4 hour, 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 4 hour. So mostly 4 hour is his thing. 4 hour, 4 hour, 4 hour, 4 hour. Okay, now it's the last couple of days been different, but it's mostly 4 hour. I thought already that's 4 hours his thing. And some people probably do things on a monthly basis, right? But I guess it depends on how heavy your swings are, and if you want to be someone who does an intraday or you do the major swings. You know, if we take a look at some of the most profitable traders, they actually, all they do is really swing hard and just cash out really, really hard into the pump and buy really pretty quickly back into dips. But essentially, if we're talking about this XRP move, there's probably somebody who retired his entire freaking village off of these, who could potentially do that off of these swings. For example, right? Just to name an example, they're buying in right here. And the moment they buy in at 1%, for example, let's just say it's up a little bit, they start selling. But they're selling into, for example, this level right here. Then at this point, because the price is down so much, they were to buy back in, right? As an example. So they start buying back in here. They buy their way down lower, 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 up until this level. They had orders, but they didn't get filled. And maybe here also they had orders that didn't get filled. So maybe they have a small little overview or over, how do you call it? Like they still have a little bit left over. But then the market goes back up, and the moment it's back above, right, they start selling hard, hard, hard up until here. The price went a bit higher, but maybe they had like a small, so to speak, like a little bit left over. But in general, they were fully mostly out. And the moment it comes back down, they start buying in. They had many more orders, but they were mostly in. And the moment it comes back up, they start selling again. Now you might say, oh, how does that work? Well, theoretically speaking, that's possible if your entire fund was significant sums of money, right? And you're only doing this with a little, where if the market indeed were to push back down for example, 317 all the way down, or they do this because they know their numbers, right? They have a stop loss pretty tight, for example, right? Below their last order that got filled, pretty tight. So the moment it goes goes down lower. Let's say they had a strategy to buy all the way up to 310 in case, and it went lower. They had a stop loss, and they start buying from slightly below that again. For example, they stop buying there, and they start buying again at 305, going down for basically round number 2. Or they just have significant amounts so they don't get liquidated in the process. But I'm guessing most of the time they do the first one, because some of them, you might think, how do they have a 100% win rate? It's just because they don't cash out at a loss. But then again, a lot of others, they want to cash out at a loss just to kind of balance out their books a little bit, maybe for tax purposes as well. But this is something some people do. And that's why I said before, you can have a strategy in all these different forms that would work, and there's not a one fits all. I've seen so many people that say, I do this, that. Doesn't make sense to me, real talk, but it works for them, I guess. Oh, wait, they're back. Wait, are they back, or is he replaying it? Let me quickly see again. I think he's just replaying it again.
Take a look. We're going to see what's happening.
No, it's just replaying
Nobody thought any of that was possible, and it's wonderful. And we're doing pretty well with the European Union, likewise. And we have some others. They're all really big, and our country's going to make a lot of money. We would be helped if interest rates would come down, but
he's replaying it again. Guys, if you've not done it yet, make sure you go ahead and press that like button. I'm also still checking out the White House's official website, but it just says we'll begin shortly. But I find that a bit odd. Like, why would they have "will begin shortly" for so long, even after the visit? Like, what's the point there? What are they doing? I don't get that part fully. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing Burger, already seen it. Yeah, it was a bit. It was funny though, to be honest. Real talk, that interview or that little talk between them, it is really freaking funny. Not gonna lie, like just watching that, the awkwardness. The White House YouTube channel is about to go live. It's already been almost live for 20 minutes. No rate cuts, Mr. Failed. All he does is like, oh, that's awkward. Trump getting his American Psycho going. Powell looks scared. Man, it's awkward, dog. Weird scenes. He's standing with Powell like he's with his teenage son. This looks fake. Trump don't give a damn. He doesn't. Kevin coming in with the $2. Doing a little peace sign. Or a little, how do you call this? Schpock? What was this called again? I forgot. These fools about to box in the bathroom off camera. Who would win, Trump or Powell? That's a good question. I haven't had enough coffee today, says Mrs. XRP. I've been here. I don't believe. Hey, who else is here? If you watch this right now, let me know real quick. Roll call, roll call. Let's see who's in the chat today. Who do we got? We got about 450 people in. I keep seeing the same freaking 10 guys. Chill Guy, Mrs. XRP, Craig, Kevin, Sows. Who? Eric. Let's see. Jason, Benjamin, Didick. Didick is always here, man. I don't know. Didick is a freaking G. I've seen Didick's name too freaking many times. Matter of fact, Didick, I'm getting tired of seeing your name in there, you know? Didick, ik zie je elke dag, jongen. Elke dag! TV says, Dusty, Payoning's bot basically does the same, buy low, sell high trading. Why is it better than you do it manually? It's not. But I don't know. I could not put up 42,000 orders a day. If you have another algorithm, you know, that does it, that's essentially the same. You could even insert more into that. But 99% of people don't, won't, can't do that. So it's just like I sometimes call it a fool's gold. Theoretically speaking, there are flaws because you can't do every single thing you want on here. The bots have limits. But essentially, it's good enough for what I want it to do. And the only thing that would be better is setting up your own bot. But like I said before, how are you going to run it? Where are you going to run it? How are you going to do that? Are you going to trust it fully? Because in this case here, first of all, if they mess up, I personally think they'll just, you know, compensate for that. But the bot, I mess up some setting in the bot and it wrecks me, I'm not going to be too happy, right? So in that sense, sometimes I prefer to give away a little bit of gains for just the ease of it. Oh, my chat, it's stuck, matter of fact. There we go. It seems to be stuck here a little bit. Let's see. Man, what's going on here? Look at this. Benjamin said, I'm gonna try this one. Again, what I always will tell you, and I'll tell you again, do things that make intuitive sense. Don't just start We're still good. Scared the crap. I always hate that, man. That scares the crap out of me. Don't just do things. Oh, Dusty's talking about so. No. You gotta check it out. Does it make sense for you? Oh, so for example, the bots. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, I can do that. Amazing. Okay. Just the same. My friend has been talking about bots to me for years now, I think. And he says, bro, you know how good I've been doing? I always say, yeah, cool. I never gave it a thought. I was like, oh. He says, you should try this. I'm like, oh. And you know what I always say, right? If somebody says you should try this, it's probably garbage. But he never said, man, really? He just said, man, it's really good. You should probably check it out. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll check it out. It's been, what, a year and a half or something like that? I never listened. And he did the 4K to 1 million challenge I told you guys about before. And I still didn't really listen. I was like, yeah, cool. And then it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. You've been telling me all this time. Why did I never just check it out? I took a look at it. I'm like, it's so good. Because again, I can do this all myself, and essentially all I'm trying to do when you're trying to trade anyway is just get yourself good entries, right? By DCAing down or buying lower, but essentially it's also nice to have some cash flow when the price moves up. So, and the big balance there is that this can do it really nicely. The only thing sometimes you still got to get used to a bit is some calculations as to how they do it versus how I'd like it, but for the most part, it's really, really freaking good. Look at all the people in here, guys. Look at all. Mario, riding with beads, shine, eavesdrop. Eavesdrop's always here as well, waiting for the pump. We are all. Z says, I'm here daily. Yes, you are. I remember you. Really, really nice. Hello, like hub. I'm here daily. What's up, Gabriel? We got UK. We got Sledgy. Lol. Mrs. XRP here. Big size. This feels a bit strange to me to call out. Like, hey, what's up, big size? That's a bit strange. But appreciate you being here. Gabriel says, I'm driving. Don't. Brother! I had to respond, but... No, man. We got to get Mr. Beast to talk about XRP. That's going to be a tough one. Smash the like button. Yes, Jarek here. Jarek's here, baby. Let's freaking go. We want the Brazilian song. That's going to be tough. I don't know how we can do that. Developer with Jason. What's up, G? Did it key. Like you did it. Would it be ideal to swing trade, but just add to the bot instead of straight leverage trade? Again, think about it for yourself. They both have their own merits. They both have their own benefits. For example, with the bot, the negative thing is you'd either have to use higher leverage, which would potentially kind of wreck your liquidation price a little bit, but you have to use higher leverage to go the same amount long because it keeps money on the side for buying the dip and selling it again. So the con would be if the market moves up from where you thought, if you're buying your way down, you could actually make a lot more on just a normal long than a grid bot. It all depends. The reason I like the bots a lot is because I don't have to think about it too much. It's just doing its own thing. I just have to watch it from a liquidation a little bit more. And you're making, you're gridding out in the process. Then the positive thing with a long, like you can see I still have them open, is because they make way more if you're right. It's just if you're wrong or you're temporarily wrong, it's easier, especially if you want to do many pairs, to not have to buy every single one of them manually the whole time. So for management purposes and for keeping yourself sane, either one can be better. I also sometimes wonder what the lowest price somebody bought XRP was at. Like, I wonder who here, for example, got an XRP in like 2016, for example, you know? Chris says, Malik is 305. Help me, what can I do? What do you mean, help me, what can I do? Brother. I'm still, by the way, I keep it open on the side here, just looking at the White House, but it's not doing nothing. Jay says, give me a genius/tarded bot setup. What token, what bot, how much dollars, set, forget, 100, 200, full tard.
Why do you keep saying full tard?
Why are people like this? But honestly, I think you should just figure, like Jay, real talk, if you were doing that crazy of a shenanigans on 𝗕𝗫𝗃 or wherever you're doing it at, 125x, I'd say, you know, try your luck a little bit in that sense. Because my things, I can't do nothing tarded. Why? Because it's going to show up right in here with all my bots. And somebody's going to try it out. And I can't do that. But essentially, what it comes down to, I'll explain one more time. If we go back, right? So what I'm doing, let me show you. I'm going to get rid of the chat for a second here. Essentially, all I'm doing is I do futures bots, but you could do them spot, theoretically speaking, if you want it to be slow, but you could, right? And the coin margin, it depends if you want to make it in coins or in dollars. I do dollars. I pick a coin, whichever one. So we get Solana on ETH, we could even do, which is not the best one, but you know, maybe we could do a short bot if we wanted to on Solana ETH. I don't like short bots though. So we take Sol, for example, yeah? We take 187. Let's say we wanted to buy and sell up to the range of 205, and actually maybe the bottom here, 178. We inserted 178. All right, so that's the bottom right there, 178, slightly below, maybe 177, whatever. And we wanted to actually keep selling and doing a stint to 206. Now, in this case, let's max it out just for fun so I don't have to calculate nothing. And we take, how much can I do? Let's take 5,000 here, for example. And I use higher leverage. It depends on, you know, I can use any leverage I want. But this is just insanity. I can even look what the number would be for fun. Sheesh. My liquidation at this point with 50x is 173. Oh. It's actually not as bad, right? But that's because I auto-reserve it. If I get rid of it, how much would it then be? 184. Oh. This is madness. Regardless, though, so to get back to that situation, I could do it like the higher leverage I go, the more it's going to obviously put in at basically second number one. But let's just say I lowered it on the leverage. We can see, for example, if I go back to 5x, for example, at this current price, you know, just in this case market, and we go for it, you can see what it basically is going to do. So in this case here, it's going to buy about 50% of the position right now, keep about 30% of the position in dollars, and then reserved. This basically means margin. In this case, if I get rid of that and I put 5,000 again, and I press create, you can see it's going to buy 60% of my position now, 42% it's going to keep, and no reserve in margin. Right? So it's going to basically only buy half of my entire position right now and keep the rest going. And that's again because it's going to be gridding, right? So it wants to be able to insert all the way towards, in this case, the lower of my bounds, so 177. If I increase the leverage, what will happen? What would change, you reckon? Let's say I do 35. What changes? What goes? Oh, why is the number so relatively the same? Well, take a look at this. 543 Sol.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. And it feels very good, actually, to be back on a construction site. You know,
well, 1 second. We go for Trump. I'll let it play out.
Not so long ago, we rebuilt the old post office.
45 Sol. You see? So that's the big difference with just how much Sol you open it.
Waldorf Astoria. And it was a great success, and we had great luck with the
Trump
building. We did a
on the
good
White
job.
House.
We built it quickly and relatively inexpensively for about $200 million. And that was a big hotel, a big project. But we looked around, and Tim Scott's here someplace. Tim, come on up.
This is the official one.
You saw what we saw, and the big thing is to get it done. They have to get it done. They have to get it finished. And very importantly, we have to get interest rates lowered in our country. Our country is the hottest in the world right now, but the one section, people are pretty much unable to buy housing because the interest rates are too high. We have no inflation. We have a lot of cash coming in. The tariffs have been unbelievable now. People that didn't even believe in tariffs are saying, what a great move that was. We have hundreds of billions of dollars coming in. Japan, just on one deal, is paying us $550 billion. And they opened up their economy. It's incredible, the deal. And they're happy, we're happy, everybody's happy. But we should have the lowest interest rate of any country, and we don't. We should have. Every point is worth $365 billion. So we want to get the rates down, but we also want to get the Fed building finished. So I met with the contractors, we toured it with the chairman, and we had a very good tour, and we'll talk to you about it sometime, but Tim and I, we sort of understand what happened.
Too expensive. Man, bottom line is this, that Americans deserve to become first-time home buyers. President Trump has created the best economy in the world. The one thing that would make it better is lower interest rates. Full employment is even more possible. Wages rise faster as interest rates come down when your employment is at 4.1% because of your leadership. We have revenues coming in at record-breaking, maybe last month even more revenue coming in than bills going out, which is remarkable.
They found $26 billion. They said, where did that come from? Nobody, I think that's been many, many decades since that happened.
I can't remember that.
They found $26 billion last month, and they said, where did that come from? I said, why didn't you try the tariffs? Said it was true. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and our country's doing great, and we have no inflation, and the numbers, the job, everything is good. The one thing we have to do is get housing prices down and the interest rates down so people can buy the house, because they're all making money, but they can't get the interest rate down. We have to.
Amen.
He's been my friend for a long time.
You've been on a number of construction sites. Did you see this management going on, or funds that aren't?
Well, I see a very luxurious situation taking place. Let's put it that way. And I was given a very nice tour by the head of construction. And look, if you look over here, they're trying to open up the basement. When you open up a basement, first of all, it's the worst space. Always a basement is the worst space in a building. And it's also the most expensive space to build. And especially here because you have a water line. They're going down into the water, so they have to build what's called a reverse bathtub. The water has to be kept out. It's very expensive construction. So it would have been good if they didn't build it. Would have been good if they didn't do certain other things. If you look at the kind of protection in the hall, have you been able to get in the hall? You saw the protection of plywood. I mean, that was a lot of money just to protect it for a period of time. I would have done it very gingerly and easily and not have spent, millions of dollars on protection. And there are things that could have been different. Look, there's always Monday morning quarterbacks. I don't want to be that. I want to help them get it finished. It's been going on for years, and I want to help them get it finished. And what we really want to do, and I think I can speak for Tim, and I think I can speak for the entire Senate, we can speak for everybody, frankly, is we want to see interest rates come down. Our country is booming, and the interest rates is a final little notch. And if you look at Europe, they've lowered 11 times in a short period of time. We've lowered 0. And they are competition, although we're in the process of probably making it. They want to make a deal very badly. So we're making a deal. We just completed our deal with Indonesia. We just completed our deal with the Philippines. We're making unbelievable deals, and the money is pouring in. We want to get interest rates down.
But on interest rates, at some point, does the level of interest rates now slow economic growth?
Yeah, it never helps it if it's high.
At what point?
Never helps it. Well, it's already as good as we're doing. Think of how well we'd be doing. We'd be like a rocket ship. As good as we're doing, we'd do better if we had lower interest rates. And we should. We're prime. Don't forget, without us, the whole world collapses. So we should have the lowest interest rate because, you can talk about Switzerland, you can talk about wonderful countries, no debt, but without us, everything collapses. We should have the lowest interest rate. And if you took it down 3 points, not a little bit, but 3 points, if you got us down to 1, we would save more than $1 trillion basically with just a paper transfer. You wouldn't be cutting costs of anything. You wouldn't be building anything. Just a move of the hand saying we're going to lower interest rates. You would save $1 trillion a year. And there's nothing you can do to save that kind of money.
Did the Fed Chairman say why he's not?
Well, we had a little talk about it, and I thought it was a very productive talk. He'll be able to tell you at his next meeting, but I will say that he did say the country is doing really well.
Mr. President, you feel better or what?
And the country is really doing well.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
How would you describe your talk with him? Would you say that the energy was tense? You know, did your conversation?
No, I didn't think it was tense. No, I thought we had a good meeting. No, there was no tension. There was no tension. I think he had more tension with my great senator to the right. He's a pretty tough cookie. He was, you might say, well,
I mean, the bottom line is we had an honest, candid conversation about some of the overruns at this building. We had it in my banking committee, and he said we were wrong, and it turns out we were right. Thank God President Trump and his team took enough time to dig into some of the details, and the details are clear. We need to get this project done. We would like to keep it where it is or a little lower, but at the end of the day, the point is that instead of talking about interest rates, instead of talking about first-time home buyers, instead of talking about the heat in our economy, that's a good thing. We're talking about an overrun on the Federal Reserve building as opposed to the Federal Reserve objective of lowering and keeping our economy full.
you know, as an example, they built parking spots under a building next door.
Really expensive.
That's very expensive. When you're starting to build parking lots, underground parking lots, that's a very expensive thing. A lot of people I know, they park their car and they walk a block or 2 blocks or something. But it is a very expensive thing. That is what it is, and that's okay.
Are you negotiating auto
Is
tariffs?
this project a fireable offense?
What?
Is this project a fireable offense for Jerome Powell?
Look, I would love to see it completed. I don't want to put that in this category. It's a very complex thing that could have been made simple. I built a great hotel, and the great hotel that everybody in this group knows very well, it's called the Old Post Office, and it's a much bigger project than this, and I spent $200 million building it. And it was taken down to the steel, for the most part, taken down, you know, you've seen it go up. And I built it quickly, and I built it for $200 million. That was a much bigger job than this. Spent $200 million. And it's got marble bathrooms, the top fixtures, the best of everything, all brand new. So, you know, this is a very expensive job. I don't know. It got out of control. And that happens. That happens. It's a shame.
Are you negotiating on auto tariffs? Your auto tariffs.
No, I'm not negotiating on auto
So
tariffs.
does EU looking at 15% like Japan?
Well, it
For
depends.
autos coming in?
What Japan did is they brought down their tariffs. They gave us $550 billion because they didn't want to pay 20. They were 28%, and they gave us $550 billion up front. 100%, 500. We get 90, they get 10. 90%, they get 10. And there's no payment. It's not a loan or anything. It's a signing bonus, I call it. But they gave us $550 billion and took down the tariffs a little bit, and then they agreed to open their economy to everybody. This was not easy. This took, you know, a lot of people walked out of rooms and things. Sometimes they walked out of rooms, went back to Japan. Right. I said, where are they? They went back to Japan, and then they called and they said, can we make a deal? They came back a couple of times. This happened. This was, as you know, it was over a period of months, and ultimately they agreed to open their economy. Now, the opening of the economy is worth more than $550 billion, the payment that they made. It's worth more. So between that and the payment, we reduced it down to 15%. But they were at about 28%, and then they bought it down, basically.
But could other countries buy it down?
Yeah, I would let other countries buy it down. Sure.
Mr. President, do you feel better or worse about your relationship with the Fed chairman after this meeting?
I feel good about it. I mean, look, I have one dispute, and the dispute is there could be some things with money and, you know, where it comes from, how it's come from, how it's printed, where it's printed, all of the standard things with the Fed. But I just want to see one thing happen. Very simple. Interest rates have to come down.
And
If the interest rates don't come down, we're knocking it out of the park with high interest rates. If interest rates come down, then that final little element kicks in. That's housing. And the sad part is that people, wonderful young people, young couples starting off, they can't get a mortgage because the rates are too high. Tim knows that better than anybody, I think.
Mr. President, if the rates are hurting families in the country, why let that keep going for another 8 months? Why not just fire the chairman
Because
now?
to do that is a big move, and I just don't think it's necessary. And I believe that he's going to do the right thing.
Do you think it's constitutional?
I believe that the chairman is going to do the right thing. I mean, it may be a little too late, as the expression goes, but I believe he's going to do the right thing. The fact is, it's so big what's taking place in America. where the king of Saudi Arabia says you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and I thought you were dead 1 year ago. I thought we were dead. I just left NATO, as you know. They're agreeing to pay 5%. We're not paying anything. We send them the equipment. They pay for 100% of everything now for the war, Ukraine. But I just left NATO, and every one of those leaders said, every country, they said, and very smart countries, very successful countries, frankly, and every one of them said you have the hottest country in the world. We did that over a period of a year, less than a year. I mean, if you think, less than. They say a year ago we were dead, and today. So I'm here 6 months, and we did it over, and we had the help of men like this and people like standing right behind me. They're great. They're great professionals. They really are. They're great professionals, and in a short period of time, we made it the hottest country in the world. With all of that being said, we'd like to see. We can always do better, and we can do better if interest rates come down. Good job, you did. You do a nice job. I watch you a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. President. Do you have a name in mind to replace the chairman?
I do.
Or you one person?
2 people. Maybe 3.
Any clues?
I'd pick him, but I think he's not leaving the Senate.
No, sir, come on.
I picked him.
President meant to put pressure on Jerome Powell to resign?
No, there's no pressure. No. We want to have, his term comes up soon. I think he's going to do the right thing. Everybody knows what the right thing is. Even people that believed in, the higher rates, they're all on board. They all want to see the interest rates come down. It's very important.
Mr. President, if he doesn't do the right thing and cut interest rates, as you said, would you don't consider firing him?
I don't think we're going to do that.
Do you think he changed his mind?
I don't think so.
Investigate the newly declassified documents by Gabbard.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. I have great respect for Tulsi and the documents they found on President Obama. Frankly, it was an Obama thing, but it was the people that worked under him also working with him. And no, it's a very, very serious thing. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, what was the final straw for U.S. negotiators?
There we go. Well, that was interesting to say the least. Sometimes I do wonder a little bit, like, what the purpose could be of such a short little showcasing, but like they hyped me up a little bit too much, perhaps, for a little bit of a move. Not a move as in market move, but like it was not a long ass thing. It was just like a few minutes, but it's good. It's good to be showcased regardless. So I saw one question just now. It was, let me grab this out. What do you think, with your years of experience in crypto, what would happen to the price of XRP, especially, if they would cut rates by 2 or 3 points? So that's a little bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's hard to say what's going to happen to crypto specifically. If you're talking like overall, talking about everything, there's a couple of interesting things you could argue. The lower the rates are, the lower the cost of capital, right? So if you now want to start a project, for example, Trump with his real estate empire, it costs less to borrow that. But the reason I'm saying it's a double-edged sword is because theoretically, you are doing this when the market is, for example, a little bit worse, you're trying to make it better. Or theoretically speaking, doing okay, you're trying to make it better. Because again, it's going to lead to more innovation, more people coming on in, borrowing money. It could be negative for people saving money, but it's positive for people trying to invest and do something. So it creates more jobs. It creates more purchases and all of this. So it gets you a little bit of a spiral because again, it's a double, right? You lower the return of saving your money. So at the same time though, you're making it so that more companies are innovating, they're hiring more, so people earn more. Basically everything is going up. The counter to that could be that when everybody's hiring, they're trying to get going, they're trying to start more projects, and people don't want to save more, right? They're not expanding their consumption to the future. They want it now, they're consuming more. Theoretically speaking, also prices go up. So you have a little bit of a loop of inflation. So that's what they're always weighing off at. So if things are already doing well, would you want to make them do even better? And to some extent, yeah, right? Because you can very much increase the stock market, because if all these companies can now borrow money for less, they're going to probably do it, right? And that could help a whole spiral. And if the stock market goes up, theoretically speaking, it could also be nice for cryptos. But then again, you could also argue that the moment that this is going on, there's going to be more and more risk. And if you look at the biggest crashes, it tends to be after all of a sudden the biggest of booms, right? The best markets. So a counter would be that afterwards, you sometimes get the best of the, or I should say the biggest crash. Let me quickly change the stream title back to this. So yeah, it's a bit double. And I think y'all can understand why that would be. Let me change this. Put that back in there. Oh, the chat was already in the screen. I forgot. Brother Trump has been roasted. What are we talking about? I had to distract with Obama. Nice, finally. What happened? He's skating right now as per usual. What are you buying with your XRP profits? Surprised you didn't sell last week. More coins? More cryptos? What else would I buy? There's nothing else I need. I need more coins to get more coins to get more coins. I sometimes sell my coins to get more coins. And I sell those coins to get more coins. Essentially, at some point, you're going to run into the issue of where do you invest into? And for me, it mostly comes down to I need more freaking coins. It's funny, but that's really what I've realized. Turbo says, I'm going to YOLO into bots. I never suggest that. You know, even though I'm not a financial advisor, nothing here I say is advice. I'm not guaranteeing you anything. You should do whatever you want to do. I always say, why would you YOLO something where you could take, about half an hour, really look into it, and make a proper strategy that hopefully can sit for a while. And Jay says here, let's revisit the bot TARD play. Use XRP, for example. All right. So there's no TARD play that I can talk about because I don't even know how to do it. In the sense that I don't even know why you would. Why not just, if I was a TARD, I just go for longs. I wouldn't go with the options here because essentially all you're doing is de-risking a little bit for longevity, right? Because again, where it comes into being a TARD is by setting the range potentially quite low, but you could always change it. But for example, we could set the range 296 at the lower bound. This is again where it's going to still continue to buy. So very low here, 294, let's say, is where it's going to buy. Still at the high, we say, for example, 365. So we take back the all-time high, and we would just max it out. For example, so this is the range where it's going to be buying up until, and the range still wants to sell. And this basically means that to the lowest of our bound, which in this case is the bottom, this is where it will allocate the full capital. So even if we go to the fullest of depths, all this is going to do is increase our size of the trade, not necessarily do anything more than that, but let's just say we do a really high X, right? It's going to just basically from this level on, it's going to enter relative to the size of the entire range, is going to buy into the position. So we take, for example, 1,000. Here we do. No auto reserve, so we have to do it again. 1,000. You can see. Let's see what it does. It needs to be let's do 5,000. It needs to be less because of the leverage that we're using. So we can't use high leverage in this sense. All right, let's see. So you can see it's going to buy about 54% right now, have about 45% left. And by the way, if you're wondering why this is the case sometimes, why, for example, why can you only do lower amounts depending on leverage, for example? The main reason, and what it comes down to, is just the relative size of moving the market. But there's, on any single exchange, there is a limit. Maybe you've never hit it, but if you're, for example, doing 100x leverage, but you're doing it cross, it might be so that because your actual leverage amount is not that high, right? The actual leverage. But yeah, it says here, exceeding 10x leverage may increase liquidation. Yeah, this is just a little warning. You can see here, it has a max amount that you can do. So if we go lower, you can see this changes, for example. If we do only 5x, the max per is we can do $6 million. If we do 3, See, the max we can do is 8 million. And the higher we go, the less risk you're allowed to take, basically. Which is kind of stupid, you might argue, but hey, it's la vie. Anyway, so if we were to do, let's say, our $5,000 here, we do it. And we press create. In this case, you can see it's opening about a 12,000 XRP long. Half is in, half is still yet to go, but the rest will go as we go towards the lower bound, basically. But at that point, you're basically just praying. Now, if it stays between this range for a long time, it's going to buy on the way down, right, up until here, and it's going to sell on the way up until there, and that's what it's going to do. So if you keep bouncing, you're doing amazing, especially in terms of grids. But if it goes below that, you're basically still, again, just waiting. That's why, to some extent, people like to have the range really, really low. You could, theoretically speaking, even set the lower bound to 0. There's still a chance of you liquidating, because if your average price is too high and the price moves down too much, you can still get wrecked. Even if we put 0 as the lower bound, okay, we put 0.30. You can just see, right? And that's why I say experiment it. Just have some fun. You can see it's only buying 20%. And in this case here, can I see here? So it's basically going to take some really wide gaps until basically 30 cents, which is going to try and buy. So the majority of your dollars will never be used, which is to some extent what people would think, oh, but so I could use higher leverage. Not necessarily, because just because your buys cannot be used, your original buy still might get wrecked not too long from now. So again, maybe this actually changes over time as the bot buys in, but if you're not ever, adding as the bot goes lower, this could still be a little bit of an annoying thing. So where does the degen play then come in? Yeah, I don't know. Like, you could literally either use higher leverage or all this, but I think if you want to be a degen, these are some of the strategies that are quite simple for longevity, not necessarily for all at once, all at go. You're saying take a look at Hyperlane. Somebody texted me about Hyperlane a while back. What is it about? What is it about? What is Dave? Let's see. Dusty, what is the difference between all these grids? So there's a few things, but there's two of the most important parts for all of you. Is the higher the amount of grids, the more times you are trading, right? Which kind of good and bad parts. If your size is really, really small, which is why there's a minimum to it, in terms of a fee structure, it might not make too much sense. You might have a specific quantity that you want to have between the buys, for example. But the higher it is, also the higher the limit will be. As in, you need a higher minimum amount. Jay says, thanks for the TARD setup. Again, I'm not saying this is a TARD setup. This is not, I'm just giving you examples of how these things work. Right? I would say, please, don't, this is you. Jay, please, what you should do is you should set up something, see what the TARD thing is, and let me know. I'll maybe copy you. I don't like TARD setups. I don't do 100x, brother. I don't do nothing crazy like that. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear you coming back later and say, yeah. Dusty, I lost the house. Nah, I don't want none of that. What you should do, and actually a few of y'all should be doing this, give me the craziest strategy we got. And maybe, just maybe, we're going to do it live here. It's going to be really funny. If you guys got a freaking crazy trading setup, I think it would be funny. Stop shouting, young man. Oh, my bad. I could also press save on this. I think if I now shout, is it the same amount of, if I put save, it might help out? Does that change the volume? For me, it doesn't look like it changes it. But I don't want to shout again, actually. But I press save now on the audio interface. So maybe, just maybe, if I shout, it's going to automatically lower it down. You hurt my ears, young man, with all the shouting. Hey, my bad, dog. My bad, OG. Yeah, but no joke, by the way, Jay. If you are talking about normally trading high frequency, and this actually goes for anybody. If you're trading a lot, you can get lower fees. You can potentially even get a rebate depending on how much you trade. But you got to know the right persons. But for most people, I can get that set up. Because if you trade a lot, yeah. And the funny thing is also, sometimes you do not realize you're missing out on a lot of things. For example, there's even major events that are being thrown. You can go to Formula 1, you can do all this, that. They'll give you cool shit if you trade a lot. So that's why I said, even if you have a delta, like neutral strategy, you're basically not making profit, not making loss. You can still make an extreme amount of money on that. You can still get a lot of value out of that. But again, it's quite hard because you got to have the frequency in there. And if you're not using any algorithms, some people are not, by the way. I have one of my good friends from, I don't know, freaking Serbia or something like that. He's just a freaking big ass dude. And he's one of the not necessarily most profitable, but he just trades so freaking much. He doesn't make that much money off of it. But even if it's a really tiny percent you're making on that, you can get a good deal with them going. Some people make good amount of schmeckles on that. You'd be surprised. I really think a lot of people would be surprised with how much people can make off of this. $150x Bitcoin? Brother. How much is the max we can do on Blowfin? I don't even know. So for XRP, it's how much? It's 50x. Pfft, peasant numbers. How much is it for Bitcoin? Oh my God. What's the notional max? Can we see it here? Max position size at current leverage. 24 million at 20x. 10x we can do 50 mil. At 2x we can do oh. Oh, it's 5 mil. Oh no. Man, this is hard when the numbers are changing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5 mil, 9 mil. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 24 mil. Interesting. Let me go look up the notion of maxes. So for example, max leverage trade by bit. It should say it's somewhere. I'm looking through now as well through my own Bybit. It should say it's somewhere, no? But what if I open up this? Oh, I'm logged out. Sheet. Okay, let me see then. If I go trading portal. Let me try to find that. I can't press all this one logged out. Okay, that's sad. Last time I checked it was logged in, but now I can't see it anymore. Alright, so that's not happening. Let me see. There should be a calculator for it, though. I know on Bybit you can see it somewhere, but I've forgotten where it is. Philip says, you broke my phone speaker yesterday. I think, was it yesterday or the day before? Blade says, I tried using max grids possible. Yeah, if you're on your own, you can definitely do that. There's no negative thing to it, I'd say. 20x. For me, guys, you gotta understand, even if I change it now, there's nothing that's gonna change unless I open a new position. So for example, now I can go to, with Bitcoin, to 50x, and theoretically speaking, all it's going to do is out of my whole position just take less margin. So it just take only 5k instead of 16k that I put, because it's 15x leverage that I'm using. It's only if I now open a new position that this be a funny joke. But that's because it's cross. Hey, what do you guys think? Should we open a $24 million Bitcoin long? Bro, I can't. Shush! This is where he's stuck. Oh, I'm stuck. You guys want to sweat on camera? We did something crazy. Okay. $25 million long. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm doing none of that. Would be pretty funny to watch though, right? That would be a very interesting day. I'll just see this person's looking out for me. I'll just says don't. I am not doing that. But it'd be a funny day though. Don't open new longs now. I'm joking, guys. That's how James Wynn got wrecked. True. He opened $1 billion at the end, but true, you're right. He opened with 40x, by the way, not 50, I think, right? So we'd still one-up him a little. We'd still one-up him a little bit. Imagine we actually called the range low with a 50x. Damn. But honestly, that's also how he got to being up $100 million. So he says, just don't worry, I'm not doing nothing. I was just joking about it. Just do it with 1,000 for the fun. I ain't doing none of that. To be honest, that's also no fun in that for me. Because if you're doing like 125x with like $100, I think that's a lot of adrenaline for fun. If you're doing 1,000 times 50, it's only a $50,000 trade. First of all, it's like you have a few percent grace because it's 50x. But if it's 125 and you're doing it with even with $70, that's going to get your heart freaking pumping. At least to me it does. But I don't know. I don't like it. Like some people are really, really good at it, but you got to have a freaking stomach for it. I think even on 20x, man, you're already you're a trooper already if you can do that. If you can stomach that. But some people are freaking geniuses, dog. I sometimes look at our team, for example, and the amount of profits some people are able to make, I wonder how. Because the thing is, you think, just looking through. You think, but there isn't somebody who just started out last week there's probably somebody in this chat now as well. Fun fact, right? And I'm not encouraging you to do anything. I'm just saying. There's probably somewhere out here who's trying it today, and all of a sudden he's beating me in terms of my entire freaking net worth in a few weeks. Because you just do not know. Some people did just get either a lucky strike, for example, or they're just really good at it. It really happens. And I can see that from the stats sometimes too. I'm like, this guy started with, for example, 50K, and all of a sudden he ran it up to 3.5 mil 2 weeks later. It happens, because some people go a bit degen and it just works out. Just like the story from Jay a bit earlier. And then again, there's also a lot of people who lose, by the way, who go to zero because they're stupid. And some people go to zero even though they had a good strategy because they get a bit unlucky with a massive move. But a lot of people, they go bad because they over leverage a bit. They go, for example, 50x, where if they went 20x, they would have won big. But they went 50 and they got wrecked. TJ says, why not order room service? You should eat something. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to go to the buffet. I told y'all I have a buffet every single day free, and I've skipped it so many times. I've skipped breakfast every single day. I've been in the same hotel, in the same nice little suite. For the past almost 2 weeks, I've skipped breakfast every single day, except for day 1. That's it. Or maybe day 2, I don't know. I only went one time, and it was amazing. And we were discussing, like, this is a really, really good breakfast. I should go more often. I've not gone a single time. I don't know, fun fact. I've been going for how long? You know how many times I've gone to breakfast in all these months? I think 3 times in total. And I've had breakfast every single day. And in most of the hotels I go to, I never even see the breakfast. Which is sad, because sometimes they're really freaking good. All right? It's such a shame. Doesn't matter which hotel. Doesn't matter the price. Every Ritz-Carlton I've stayed in, I always get breakfast, and I never go. Here, this hotel. That's so good. But it's so dusty. Well, you're paying $800 a night for a hotel room. I do not go. I just get them, deliver it. Sometimes what I've also done, and this is bad, I'm ashamed of this. I even get the breakfast for free in the lounge and downstairs. Just both of them. I still let them deliver it to my room and I have to pay for it. Why? Because I don't want to stand up. I don't want to go outside. This is my shameful sin. I give it to you. I will stop talking about it right now. I can't let more of that information loose on the internet. You guys will think I'm a freaking dumbass, but it's the truth. Sometimes I'm sitting there thinking I don't want to go downstairs right now. But most of the time it's because I haven't woken up. And you know, the reality is, it's a bit rude, I find, if the breakfast ends at like 11 and I show up at like 5 past 11 just to grab some stuff real quick. So I'm like, okay, if it's like 1 before 11, I can still order it to my room and it's not bad. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm actually too lazy. I don't ever have that really. It's just that I just wake up really freaking late. Today I woke up at 2:30 p.m. It's disgusting. I think 2:30 p.m. I don't even know. It's disgusting these times. All right? Man, this whole Trump situation, though, this is the freaking most hilarious thing I've seen in a little while. A lot of y'all might have not been here just now, but it was so freaking awkward.
Look, and so we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no,
including the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So we're going to take.
This was the most passive-aggressive thing I've seen in a while. And to me, just top-tier Trump type of banter. Just, I don't know if he's doing this for the viewers at home. I don't know if he's doing that like just so the people at home can have a little laugh. Because that is some heinous type of freaking like... By the way, I was just announced. Yeah, brother, sorry. He's like throwing him under the bus level 99.9. And I love every single second of it. It's not like I'm against Mr. Powell that much. You know, it's not like I'm against him. I don't care about what he does. In the sense that, you know, he's probably got a good reason for everything. And I'm not an economist enough, so to speak, to judge whether or not interest rates are at a good level or not. I could make a couple of arguments as to why they should be lowered. But they can probably think of 1,001 reasons why they should stay this way, which is why they stay this way. At the end of the day, he's on his job for a reason. Now, to counter that, maybe some macro economists would say, well, you know, this and that, the main reason this is stupid. First of all, I think 1,000 people would counter it, but the same went for Gary Gensler. He was the head of the SEC, but he was freaking stupid for what he did, right? So I would say just because they're chairman doesn't mean they're good at what they do, and maybe the same also applies to Powell. So yeah. South Park's show is epic. Did they do something like this? Just open a 20x on Epic, lol. I don't know what you mean. Grass has turned 700 into 50K and stupidly got wrecked this latest dip. Never seemed to learn. You know, again, this has two sides. On the one hand, you might say you never learn. On the opposite side, you were able to do something massive. You just got to run it back now. You just got to try a little bit harder and make it all back. And this sounds to some people watching like, what is this guy saying? What? Remember, a lot of greatness was built from a lot of freaking losses, right? And that's a really well-known thing in the crypto community. So you got to run it back. Actually, trading community, I should say. Whatever you lost, you got to make it back and more. You got to freaking go at it. But at some point, like I guess the position Jay is in, you got to also make sure you get some little cushion for yourself. So you never can go back to zero. But that's a personal thing. Some people say, no, you got to risk it for the biscuit. Go big or go home. I'm always a fan of go big or go home until you can get a home, basically. And get yourself a little base so you can never go to zero again. Otherwise, yeah, you can keep clicking forever. But essentially, it's never really enough, though, unless you really have a specific target in mind. Where are you going to stop? You know, let's say you're at 4 or 5 million, for example. You can buy a nice house, have a nice little, you know, like we said before, side strategy to get yourself some passive income. Maybe, bam, we got that set. Where are you going to go for, though, right? How much you want? Some people want to take it all, which is a lot of my friends, by the way. They're not. Hey, oh, sorry, I saw somebody running. I need to go check out where they're running at. You know what I mean? But some people, they want to go for the big. They want to become a freaking billionaire off of a freaking run, which some people will probably do. Most of us will not, right? But let's say the reality. Some people will. And they want to go at it relentless. No freaking breaks. Just keep clicking and keep going. But that's tough when you're mental, dog. Dusty, what is your largest crypto loss? It's hard to say. Because the ones I remember, like for example, your portfolio can swing so much each and every day, right? But the one time where I was looking at it thinking, damn, there's been a few times. So we've had for example, what is my official biggest loss? It's probably 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗶𝗀𝗃. It's a crypto exchange that used to be a few years ago. I think they shut down in maybe like 2019 or something like that. And it wrecked me because I had Dogecoin, Bitcoin, all these things on there. ETN, Electronium, used to be big. But I remember that the Dogecoin was not worth much when I put it on there, maybe like in 2017 or something like that. But then eventually it would have actually been worth a pretty good penny. Were you also in a mantra long? No, I was just holding mantra spot. I still actually hold it. And it's what I think it went down 800,000 or something like that on the day of the crash. Or maybe 860 or 760 or something like that. I don't remember. But like something like 800K or something. But it's not the biggest loss, but it was a big hit. For one coin for one day. It was pretty hard. On a trade, I wouldn't know. It's hard to say. I think the most interesting one is the mantra one. If I had to put a freaking coin that I can remember now. But to be honest, guys, there's been so many. Are we talking about current value or talking about past value? Because there's been multiple coins where you lost a few Bitcoin on in the past. I remember Encash. If anybody was here for freaking 2017 or 2018, you remember Encash. Man, that took me dirty, dog. But that's in current value, right? Because if you then look, let's say, for example, 2 BTC. Back then, it wasn't really that much money. But now it's, for example, 250K. If you start thinking about it from that angle. If you lost 11 Bitcoin, for example. Yeah, back then, it was a good amount of money. But now it's a real good amount of money. Ethan says, do you think a platform, it doesn't even matter which one, will ever shut down and take all the money? So let me say it like this. Any single platform could always do that. Like, for example, FTX did. But if you're talking about them just saying bye-bye and taking it, no. Because 99 out of 100 times, the signs are pretty obvious. If it's like a iffy one, right? It's really freaking obvious 99% of the time. And you know when you're putting your money into it. At least I know. Because this used to be a really big thing. If you're asking, hey, can it be they're actually in an FTX type of situation? I told you before, there's been freaking, what's his name? 𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗿. There's been companies that have become the biggest in the world that were actually 𝗕𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗪s in the back end. That could always be the case with anything you use. But I'm never really going into it thinking that way. Unless they're offering you something really, really crazy. But in this case here, look back at the freaking, think about this, right? Think about the platforms you're using. Does it make intuitive sense? Every single one of these exchanges, they don't offer you anything crazy. All they say is, hey, you want to trade on our platform? All right, we make fees off of that. We provide, the options for you. That's it. So I don't know. It's not like it's a really strange model to understand what's crazy yields or something like that. It's all very, very simple. So I don't know why they'd run away when they have a really profitable system going on. All they want is just to become more known of an exchange. Some people might have looked at Binance or Bybit in the past and thought, oh, sketchy. Now they're freaking huge. Offices all around the world, thousands of freaking employees. I mean, they could run, but why would that when it's a multi-billion-dollar company making billions of dollars a year? I don't know. Maybe at the start, Coinbase was a bit sketch. Yeah, I thought Coinbase was stupid. Regardless, though, they're pretty huge now. Dusty, do you think Layer AI is dead? Brother, my $30,000 is $200. I've considered it lost. Yeah, bro. Do you live in Dubai? Yes, I do. So that is the answer, Ethan. No, I never go out thinking they're just going to shut down. Why would they do that? They have a freaking hugely profitable exchange. That would be the dumbest thing ever. But it's happened in the past. It can. That was the Quadriga CX. The guy, the CEO basically acted like he, like he did something to himself, let's say. And then later on, he was found moving the money. So that was kind of interesting. But I think that was, first of all, the older days where things could have gotten away easier. In this case here, I don't think so. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, you never know for sure. Anyway, lads, I'm going to get myself a nice bite to eat. I'm going to end the stream. We've been going for about almost 4 hours, so I think it's okay. I think we've done a good little job here. Well, if I said just followed you on Instagram as well, my guy. All right. Nice to see more of y'all coming on Instagram. I post cool things on there every now and then. Matter of fact, I'll post something in just a little second as well. I got to get that done. I'll post something nice a little bit later. Of my previous country that I was in. I'll get that done. I need to do that. All right, lads. It was good to have y'all stop by, say hi. If you enjoyed it, make sure you press that like button. And I'll see you all again, hopefully somewhere later today in a video or something like that, depending on what we make. Go watch South Park. I'm going to watch South Park, but I'm a South Park expert, dog. I'll talk about that later. Y'all have been amazing. If you're doing high-frequency trading or you're trading a lot and you want to get more info on the feed thing, let me know. Just send me a message on X/Twitter. I'll get back to you on that. And I'll see you all again in another crypto stream or video, whatever, later today.